What's that?
She couldn't even come and run with me. Poor Agnes.
No, really?
I don't run.
I don't run
I just
either.
But you can do the gun then. Don't worry about it.
We don't have to start it, but you guys want to go.
I think it was somebody that, one of the EMS people that were here this morning.
Captain Small.
Maybe. It looks like it's from
I have printed off, try to print off the chart.
right?
Email a Google Doc to look at, and I probably she like I could not get it to.
I'm gonna get.
I couldn't get it to.
I'll get some.
You can sit here. I can send it to you. Maybe there's a way you could show me that to get it, or just if there's some way to print it. Even from here, from the iPad. Could you do that, Mr. Hunter?
What's that?
Print from the iPad.
I don't have the app on there.
If I email it to somebody though, could you?
I can do it. Let me just figure out it.
I thought I could get it emailed to you and I could try everything. It's just the little thing that goes aside.
Yeah, that's all.
And this is what we got. Here, we got it, thank you.
It's just gonna be the meeting.
Well, I think there's gonna be some guests, so I'll see if I can.
Sure. How are you? Great. What's up?
Yeah, I'll be right back. Yeah. The laptop's right here.
Which one?
The one that I have to open my email.
My phone, we have it.
I think they do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody want a water? Taking a drink? Alright.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
How are you?
How was your vacation?
Restful.
Yeah? Good.
Rest, got a lot of rest.
sign this. This is just our new signature card. You out of time, we were. We'll grab you a pen.
Okay. Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Robert, you good? Okay. Everybody, ready? With that, we'll go ahead and start the CSD one meeting. Time is 5:33. This January 7th, correction, January 11th, 2022. All the board members present except for Commissioner Riker. That will stand up, open one for us with the
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the blessings that you give us, and thank you for the opportunity for us all to come here, Lord. We just ask that you protect us from disease and COVID, and Lord, we just ask that you enter our hearts as we conduct business for the county. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Also in the meeting, we have ESD staff. We have the finance director. And we have county judge, Jerome. Welcome. 1.3 is any public comments.
I just like to say a few words to wish everyone at the meeting here and also out there have a very happy new year and safe too. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. With that, we'll go to 2.1, on chief's report.
Nothing to report today, Commissioner.
Item 3, consent agenda. 8.1, that is the minutes of prior meetings.
Commissioner President, President Rivera, if we could we possibly swear in the officers first?
That'll be 3.3.
Yes. I should have put that at the very beginning.
No, that's fine.
We'll do that for you.
3.3 is administration of oaths of office, execution affidavits of commissioners and statements of appointed elected officers. You have those forms?
Okay.
Judge Hall, will you give me the honors?
And I have both of them together. And that's good. We facing which side is the other face out there and people can see you. All right. Place your right hand and say after me. I say your name.
I, Stacy Roberts,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
That I
that I
will
will faithfully
execute
execute
the duties of the office of Commissioner,
the duties of the office of Commissioner,
Reeves County Emergency Services District Number 1
Reeves
County
County Service
Service
District Number 1
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and defend the constitutions
and the laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of
and of the
this state.
state.
So help me God.
So
So
help
help
me
me
God.
God.
Congratulations. And thanks for serving.
Thank you.
Let's sign this. Signature. See whether you need to sign the. I think it's also.
TCOT.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to take a few, Josh? Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Did you come before you were supposed to?
No, I actually kind of read it all.
And Chief, we want to go through the, electional officers? 4.2 under. The action items 4.
You know, we'll do the election officers.
Can I move that we, postpone that? Till we go for, till everyone? Should I make a motion to postpone?
Or we can wait till the, yeah, wanna do that?
Till we have,
Till
everyone
you-
that's, till events here, like the commissioner. Is that okay? with you?
So we'll table. You want to table?
Motion to-
Second.
And a motion by Commissioner Roberts, second by Commissioner Carrillo to table 4.1, discuss an action of election of officers. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So we'll jump back to 2.2 is the presentation and informational A, B, and C.
Yeah, Commissioners, one of the things that came out of one of your meetings was that you wanted to know fire personnel non-response daily duties. These are the things that firefighters would be, let me say, nuclear career firefighters would be doing at the station. I know a lot of times individuals that have never worked in the fire service, and because we do work 24/48, or in this case we do work 48/96, is that, while we're on duty, we also have different programs and things that we will be doing. So one of the things I ended up tasking Chief Lee to do is to go ahead and compile those, and also to kind of apply some hours to that, so you can see that unfortunately our firefighters are not going to be doing what you all see on TV, sitting around watching TV all day. Okay, Chief Lee, do you mind quickly or briefly going through and answering any questions?
Sure. So what we do is we just try to break down some of the basic duties that modern fire service typically does on a daily shift. Some things are as needed, so that's what when you see the PRN in that one column, that's what that's referring to. Some things we do on a daily basis, we do annually. There's all kinds of tasks and jobs that the firefighters do. These are not all things that we are currently doing necessarily, but actually a lot of them we have started doing, especially when it comes to operations, the actual equipment checks, the daily operations that we deal with every day. So what I've tried to do is break it down on operations, equipment testing, and community risk reduction. And also at the top, I believe there's another one called, if you can scroll up to the top, community involvement programs. You only see two there, but they are things that we do as well. So we really try to bring in programs that the citizens can use, like the CERT program, which is a Citizens Emergency Response Team, and of course the volunteer firefighters. So we're going to have paid firefighters, instructors to help train those firefighters as well. So there's a lot of different things that we do daily. Chief Camarillo can kind of attest to that when we come out the schools, for fire drills and for the lockdowns, things like that. So there's a whole plethora of things that the fire service does. Another thing that we do is a lot of community risk reduction. So that is everything from fire inspections to going out and doing public safety talks, fire extinguisher classes. I just recently did a fire extinguisher class for almost everybody in the road and bridge department with the county. So, that was quite a few people. And they were very appreciative of that, and we love to do those things because it helps bring down risk in the community. The more we can train people on fire extinguishers, safety, stop the bleed, citizens response to active shooter events, things like that, the safer our community becomes. So we try to get very active in community risk reductions. You'll see things even all the way down to child safety seat installation programs. At some point we would love to get to that point. So when somebody, a new mom comes in and doesn't quite know how to fix their car seat so that it works safely in the car, we can instruct them on how to do that. There are certification programs out there to do those kind of things. So if you have any questions, let me know. But that's just a breakdown. I did try to give daily hours, weekly hours, monthly hours, and annual hours based on what type of events they are, to kind of give you an idea. And keep in mind, these are just estimates, but they are good estimates based on past experiences from our seasoned members. So they're not just, we didn't just, we think it's going to be this much. We know we usually take an hour a day on this particular activity. So we can calculate man hours based on the number of personnel we have on that and come up with a good guesstimate of what those hours would look like.
And just to add to that, of course, a lot of these programs are actually gonna come to life once we get our 3 strategically placed sections, because one of the things about, our ESD stations is that they're also gonna be focal points. Once the community realizes they're there, people will come to us as well. Not just for help, but for training, questions, those kinds of things. So these are all programs that, we hope to, eventually bring to life here as well.
So this graph is just a basic graph to kind of give you a breakdown of what our daily duties would look like on a typical day. Of course, some things we're not going to be doing on one day, but we might be doing more on the other. But as you can see, operations already takes up about half of our day, our work day, okay? And keep in mind, somewhere between 8 and 15 hours per day is what our firefighters are going to spend on operations. So as you see, it takes up a great deal of their time. The next big one is, of course, is training. We have to have the training. We have to have time to do the training. You have to make sure that those guys stay sharp on all their skills. Another big one is the community risk reduction. A lot of times that's going to look like, on a typical day, that's going to look like going out and helping, if we ever get the districts to that point, having a fire marshal and a fire prevention division, they'll go out and help with the daily inspections on those. In the meantime, I've already started training our officers to go out and do what we call incident pre-planning. That's going out to the larger target hazard sites in our district and start trying to collect information on them so that when we get on scene, we have hazardous materials information. We have the quickest routes to get into a building, how much hose we're going to need to lay to be able to get to a fire in the center of a building. Different things like that, that's information that we need to know about. The schools, for instance, we've started uploading information on them with the mapping, the door numbers, so that our firefighters, when they get on scene and they're told, hey, we got a fire at door number 12, they can quickly go to their map and see, okay, it's over here. So that's what they do during the community risk the most, but there are other things like the classes that I spoke about, the fire extinguishment programs. Equipment training, equipment testing, that's another big thing. Our guys are constantly having to test their equipment to make sure it's up to standards. It's not only for annual training, but also just on a daily maintenance. We have to constantly test that equipment. So as you can see, there's quite a few things that they do, but operations really does take up the bulk of that day, and it can take a lot. There's operations includes everything from maintaining our equipment to report writing, all the things that go into making sure that our fire department's operating daily. This doesn't even include the calls that they have to run, so keep that in mind as well.
Chief, do you see anything on here that you think, that you guys are doing now that you'd like to bring to our attention, or that you would like to see happen sooner or later, or?
Yeah, we can go back. To be quite honest, the more of these I can pack in, the happier I'm gonna be. Because I want these districts to be, I want there to be worth to the community out there. Not just an emergency service, but also other things as well. So going on these, of course, we haven't started CERT programs, anything. We're already doing parades, fireworks standbys, fire prevention tours at the schools. We've done a few of them last year. We hope to be a little more organized this year. So now that we have a staff, we'll be able to start engaging in those more. I'm really big on doing fire prevention in schools because we have found that the kids take fire prevention home a lot more than the parents will. So when we teach the kids, they'll usually go teach the parents. So that's a big one for us. And yes, we will be very engaged in that one. Interagency fire safety education programs. What that is working with the other agencies, the police department, the sheriff's department, the ISD police department, with the training that we have that we can offer them. That's what we plan to do, and then vice versa as well, because there are some things that we actually do together. Chief probably understands this, but the alert training that we do for active shooters, we actually work combined to handle active shooter events. They're taking care of the law enforcement aspect, trying to neutralize the shooter. At the same time, we're building a rescue task force to be able to quickly get in and triage and get those people out and get them to the care that they need as fast as possible.
Chief, before you go on, and just to mention Commissioner Roberts, those things are already occurring.
Yes.
We've had multiple of our members take their classes with PPTISD, police officers, and sheriff's office. We're also working very closely with the sheriff's office. We actually just had a meeting the other day with the SO, DPS, who else was there, Chief? ISD,
DOT was there.
DOT, DOT. And so a lot of that's already happening as we speak.
Stop the Bleed's another big one that we have started. We've actually done quite a few classes of those, all the way down to even our cadets are helping train on those classes because they've been to those classes already so many times. They're actually helping train on those now. So that's a really good thing. My kids came home from class and we're all excited. Hey, we learned Stop the Bleed. I didn't even know about this. I didn't know what happened. So they told me, well, they came in and the cadets were helping them and they were showing us how to pack wounds and stop severe bleeding. So, we're already seeing the results of it, and that's great. That's what we want. Company inspection program, like I said, until we have a fire prevention division, that's not going to be an easy one to do because that's part of code enforcement. So we have to have that element first. Hope to get there soon. Occupancy incident pre-planning, like I said, I've already got the crews learning how to do that. They're learning how to use the systems, and they've gone out and started doing a few hotels, starting to learn how to do that. CPR instruction, I believe we have got some classes coming up, and I think we already did one, didn't we?
Yeah, we've already done some, so for mostly oil and gas.
If you want to scroll up a little bit, Dave, the hose inspection testing and stuff, we actually just did complete all that. So we're all good to go from here. Fortunately, we only lost a few, I think it's 3 or 4 hoses, and that was stuff from the older sets that we purchased from the volunteers. So we're doing great there. All the pumps and all the equipment passed their inspections. So now we're getting kind of more, you see the operations. This is the daily stuff. Shift muster, that's where the guys have to meet every morning. We go over their daily assignments. It takes time, so I had to add it in there just to show that does take time each day. Then on top of that, we have the daily apparatus checks, the power equipment checks, medical equipment, the whole 9 yards, PPE, daily inspections. These guys, everything that you see on there, for the most part, they're already doing. Station cleaning is a little bit difficult because we don't actually have a station yet, but they are starting to clean their dorms and their kitchens, making sure those are cleaned up daily and good to go. They're also doing, we don't really have a lot of grounds to do, but that's one big thing that they will have to keep up with, making sure our grounds stay nice. Hydrant access maintenance, what that is that's when the firefighters go out and they look at the hydrant, they have a map, and they're looking to make sure that the hydrant is actually there, because sometimes the water department will come out and take one, and nobody's informed about it. So this ensures we know where that hydrant is, but also, does it have adequate access? Is there any brush around, things like that? A good example of that was I was coming up this Oklahoma Drive the other day, and there was what we call the tumbleweeds all over it. And we couldn't even see the hydrant. And I thought, I think there's a hydrant there. So I stopped and we had to, yank all the tumbleweeds out. So that's stuff that they have to do. That is on one of their weekly tour lists to do. So incident reporting, of course, that's a daily operation, and it just depends on the number of calls. But each of those reports, you're looking at a good half hour to adequately do those reports. And then you have to have somebody who reviews them. And then after that, training the firefighters if we see inadequacies on those reports to make sure that they're doing those reports right. Officers meetings, that is something that they do on a semi-daily basis. It's just as an as-needed type of thing, but most of the time it is a daily deal. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it just helps the officers get with their shifts and so that their shifts understand what they need to be doing, what the plan is for the day, things like that. Special projects, that is something that we're definitely heavy on right now because we have so many startup programs that we're doing in the department. So we have our officers, we kind of delegate duties to them to help us with those projects so that we can get those things started up. Meals. A lot of people don't understand the fire service, but meals, I actually put it on there. It's not necessarily work, but they have to eat because they're here for 48 hours. So we kind of incorporate basically 5 meals into that. It's kind of weird how it's broken down, but that's what it boils down to. They have to stop and eat, and that takes time, So we just wanted to show that they have to do these things. We have to keep them response ready, so they have to be fed and they have to be rested as well. Physical fitness is another big one. That will be, for most firefighters, that's going to be about an hour a day of both cardio and resistance training. Continuing education and daily training drills. In the classroom videos, that's all something that pretty much happens on a daily basis to ensure that our firefighters are staying up with all the changes in the fire service, because we get a lot of them, as well as remembering what, because you lose things if you don't think about them a lot. And that's what these daily continuing education drills are for. Then there's the pump operations, that's both for training and also for just maintaining the pumps to make sure that they are working properly. And that when we deploy on a fire, we know how to use them adequately. Training drills development, it does take firefighters to help with that kind of stuff. And all of these things that you're seeing either have started or we're in the process of starting right now. So yes, ma'am, to answer your question, we're actually doing a lot of these already. But again, as we get going, we're going to incorporate more and more. So, yes, ma'am. Sorry if that was long-winded. Any questions?
Thanks, Chief. Yes, appreciate it.
Yes, yes.
All right, so the next item, you all asked us to present to you all is our recruitment and retention plan. So Chief Simmons, as our training battalion, that's one of the things he's responsible for. So he's gone and put together a recruitment and retention plan. Now, one of the things that we're finding is we talked a lot about earlier with you all, we want to do some active recruiting, meaning physically going to academies and those kinds of things. And what we're finding is, unfortunately, with COVID coming back up, they're starting to go back to virtual, right? So that's kind of put a little damper on our active recruiting plans, but Chief has put together some plans that we're going to execute this year, and it's hopefully as COVID dies out, hopefully classes will come back and our plans are to do some of that active recruiting. Chief Simmons, can you go over our recruitment and retention plan?
Good evening, Commissioners. May I please the board, I'll pass out some hard copies. I know we have it displayed. Okay, the recruiting and retention plan for fiscal year 2022 is comprised of essentially 4 strategic initiatives with their respective goals, strategic actions, and performance measures. There are some remaining tables of contents that I'll go over as well. So the 4 strategic initiatives, first will be outreach, and the goal of to obtain community involvement in educational programs and events sponsored and marketed by Reeves County ESD. The second strategic initiative is public information to ensure the community is well informed and educated about Reeves County ESD 1 and 2 and their operations. Volunteerism, fire prevention and safety, emergency management, and preparedness. Third strategic initiative is recruitment, obtain the interest of those young adults who are interested in pursuing a long, successful career with Reeves County ESD 1 and 2. The last of the strategic initiatives is training, to acquire appropriate training facilities in order to project future training needs and provide special operations training partnerships with tribal, local, state, and or federal stakeholders to provide, spelling error there, my apologies, to provide training and personnel possible to, another spelling error, to the county, my apologies. Let me hit on the remaining table of contents, retention and retention themes. Volunteer membership in the academy, candidate fire academy for those that are non-certified, continuing education and career advancement through the training and officer development programs, tuition reimbursement, department image, and consolidation. When I say consolidation, I'm talking about consolidating the volunteer program that is in existence now in the city of Texas. And lastly, the conclusion with the addendum that I added for the strategic initiative number 3, recruitment. That addendum is comprised of, as we were going to visit 7 geographical areas. But as Chief said, as we were finding out, most of these facilities are closed. Actually, 2 of them were closed. They closed their business. but the others are doing mostly virtual. That was Abilene, El Paso, Texas, Lubbock, Texas, Fort Stockton, Midland, Odessa, San Angelo, Texas, and Sierra Blanca. So as an option or as an alternative, then going to those cities, I've been reaching out to various companies. PERCOM Online, we have received multiple applicants from PERCOM Online. But again, we've hit a roadblock, so to speak, because of COVID. So I can expand on any of those initiatives if you'd like.
PERCOM Online, it's a database where all the interested firefighters registered. Is it like a job search? So
It's PERCOM is actually a paramedic class. They cater to EMTs, paramedics, those applicants that want to pursue a career.
So basically what Chief Simmons is doing is, instead of us actively going to classes, he's reaching out to these coordinators and saying, hey, you know, as you're getting your medics and your firefighters getting ready to graduate, let them know we're interested, if they're interested, come call us, apply, those kinds of things. Now, we're hoping that that once COVID wraps up, these will start coming back up and actually move away from virtual to active. And that will give us an opportunity to go stand in front of these recruits or these not necessarily recruits, but these students and say, hey, here's an opportunity for you.
do you guys have and maybe I'm going off topic here, but like a training recruitment video that
Not yet. That is something we want to move towards, but right now, again, we don't have all of our trucks here. They're coming later on this year, so we would like to build a recruitment video with the new trucks and the new equipment. It would really be nice to have a station, so that's in the future, but definitely something that's on the horizon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
In regards to recruiting, I'll give you a recruiting update status where we are. As far as firefighter EMT vacancies, we have 6. As far as firefighter apparatus operators, we have 6 vacancies. And as far as EMT paramedics, we have 3 vacancies. Currently, we are scheduled for another round of testing. This will be February 26th. We currently have 25 applicants, 5 firefighter EMTs, 5 apparatus operators, 10 EMT basics, 2 EMT advanced, and 3 paramedics. We are scheduled to conduct a day of testing of those applicants on the 26th.
And just as you all know, currently for ESD1, we're running everybody through the process, but we're not to make an offer until the hiring policy is adopted and approved by you all, so we can actually make those offers at that point. But we want to continue moving down through the process, so we have that good list here that we can make those offers quickly. So, is Mr. Maddox on? Chief? Is Mr. Maddox on?
Yes. Should.
Mr. Maddox, are you on?
Yes, sir.
Quick question, can you give us a status on the hiring policy you're working on?
I can. I received the drafts that we have, and I've been taking a look at those and doing some revisions and adjustments. And we'll be ready next meeting, presentation to the board.
Okay, so hopefully in February?
Yeah, whatever our next regular scheduled meeting is, they'll be completed by then. They're actually completed now. I want to make sure that they're comprehensive. So I'll probably be visiting with you after this meeting before next.
Okay, great. And the only reason, Commissioners, I bring that up is we do have currently, how many AOs do we have? 3?
2 AOs and technically 3.
3 apparatus operators that we're just kind of on standby, waiting for this policy to be approved. And as you all know, people, we don't want to lose, right? So we've explained to them that we're in the process of finalizing this policy, and as soon as it's finalized, we'll make the offer, but it's my understanding they've gone through the whole process. We've done the backgrounds as well, on the,
Yes.
and so basically, we're just waiting for this policy to be complete. So,
We've done the background on two, but the one that hasn't submitted his.
Sorry, quick question, Chief, why did the policy do that?
I'm sorry? I couldn't hear you, Mr. Mayor.
Policy holding that up?
You were told by the board the other day to hold until this policy's been adopted.
Okay, I don't know that, the direction of the board, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, Chief? Recruitment and retention? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
The last item is the Texas Commission on Fire Protection Inspection Guide. Again, this was another item you all actually wanted to see. So one of the things that, as a Texas Commission on Fire Protection certified department to the state is every 2 years we get inspected, okay? And so this is a guide that is pulled off right off the Texas Commission on Fire Protection website. And this is a guide that I've used in the past to prepare for these inspections. So of course, basic information, can you scroll down a little bit, please? As you go through and keep going. And all these items, we literally have to check that we have in place. It's not just standard operating procedures, training, hours, sample testing on our air compressors. It's a combination of many things. So just kind of keep going down just slowly through there so you can see some of the items. Personal protective equipment we have to be able to provide documentation that's expected daily. It's also, we do every 6 months, we have to do an advanced cleaning, and once a year we have to do an advanced inspection on those, and we have to provide those documentations. Keep going. Let's see what else we got here. And Chief Lee, if there's anything you want to jump in, please do this. Chief Lee is actually the one taking the lead on this right now and preparing. So what you see in front of you there, Chief Lee, you pointed out, this is our current Texas Commission on Fire Protection Compliance Notebook. So basically, he's got this guide and he's putting all that information as we're accomplishing it. So when the inspector comes in, we literally hand the book to him and says, here you go. And then he can go through there or she and say, hey, go ahead and pull, Chief Lee, I want to see your training hours for the past 2 years to make sure you met all your training requirements. So we have to be able to provide that. That's where Chief Simmons would provide that report. Anything, inspections, wellness, Chief Lee was saying that through the Texas Commission on Fire Protection, we're required a minimum 1 hour per shift, and we have to document that our firefighters are at least getting 1 hour of exercise per shift. So we have to provide that as well. So self-contained breathing apparatus, same thing. They have to get inspected daily. In addition to that, there's flow testing, fit testing for the face pieces annually. Any repairs have to be documented, and we have to show proof. Again, any quality assurance reports, all these things have to be included in this inspection. So these are things that, as we continue to build and evolve the organization, we're putting these things into place where we can be able to produce these reports, or we're tracking all this information throughout the year.
Chief, when do these inspections take place usually? Are they annually?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
But they're unannounced. So in other words, he can walk in today, like right now, and say, I'm here for your inspection. And my Chief Lee, I would give him the word, he would walk out and start providing the information and answering any questions.
So that hasn't happened as of yet?
No. But I'm thinking this year sometime, I'm pretty sure, because I think we're gonna hit our 2 years. So, but again, this is all available online, Texas Commission on Fire Protection website, so anybody can download it. But this is all the things that we have to make sure we have in place for an inspection. So we just, this was something y'all wanted to see, so we just wanted to showcase it and also show you our current book right now that we're putting together in preparation for inspection. Chief Lee, is there anything I might have missed?
No, sir. I think you hit everything. You will see on there things like training facility addendum. Obviously, some of this stuff does not necessarily apply to us yet. As we grow more and more, it will apply, but there are a few things in there that don't necessarily apply.
Like the hose testing, that's a big one, we just finished that, hose testing. Hoses have to be tested annually. Ladder testing, pump testing, all that has to be done annually and documented. And we have to be able to provide that documentation for during inspection. Any questions?
As far as the 2 years, that the time starts when
Once we became certified through the Texas Fire Protection.
So we're just over a year.
So we're still kind of, I'm thinking probably mid to late year 22 to walk in the door. And so that's the reason, especially Chief, to get this done and make sure all of our stuff, also Chief Simmons, make sure our training records are in order as well. Any other questions?
I think we have somebody on the phone that maybe would like to move up on the agenda. We'll jump to 4.8, if it's okay with the commission. Four point eight is discussion and possible action on beyond engineering and testing proposal.
Mr. Malice, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am. Are you, Chief?
Good, sir.
Okay, so, yeah, I would like to, pending attorney review, have the board approve the proposal for the, beyond engineering, because we gotta get them, started pretty quick here. So with that, do you have any questions, Chief, of the board?
In which particular, I guess the materials testing, there's two documents that we have attached to 4.8. Which one is a good one for us to open up? The proposal, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the fees and where those fees are gonna go?
Absolutely. So, the fees are in line with what I had behind the scenes projected for materials testing. It's broken down by project. It's about 51.5 for Central, 40 for South, and 37, call it, for, Orla is 40 and South is 37. And this covers, materials testing covers basically doing the, testing the aggregate, testing the concrete, making sure that it breaks the right compression strength. Basically, they have to come out and take samples of concrete and do test cores, a bunch of other things. The only thing that I have not been able to locate somebody to do is the building envelope testing. But that's not required by law. This is.
Okay. And Mr. Malice, just to confirm, this is all going to come out of the capital budget that was already approved by the boards, or is this in addition to?
No, that's correct. It's coming out of, I can tell you that right now, so I got it open, working on it. It's coming out of FF&E funds for each one of the sites.
So this would be a 50-50 between ESD1 and ESD2?
Yes, sir.
So Commissioner, just as a reminder, the capital plans you all approved for this project, that's where this is coming from. This is not in addition to that capital funding.
What dollar amount we're talking about? Is it the 51?
It's
For
gonna
the
be
overall.
combination, it's gonna be the overall, so it'll be the 51, 40.
So,
What's the other one?
Mr. Malice, what's the overall price for the project, and then, of course, we'll divide that by 50%.
Well, so I had it broken down by project. Do the math for you. Oh, here it is, 128,072.
Okay, I remember seeing that somewhere.
It's at the very front, I think. Yeah. 128, like page 5.
And then so here, one's responsibility, and that would be 64,036.
So that's 50% of that.
Yeah, 50% of 128,072 is 64,036.
Just give us a second, Luke.
No problem.
I'm okay, because as long as it's been allocated already before, so it's not an addition.
So this is not an addition.
Is this an action item that we need to take action on? Okay, I make a motion that we approve the 64,036 for, beyond engineering testing proposal,
Pending attorney.
pending attorney's review.
A second.
On discussion, Chief, has it been forwarded to the attorney?
Luke, this has already been forwarded to the attorney, they just haven't kicked it back, correct?
Doesn't matter, I got it. I'm looking at it right now, actually.
Okay.
Mr. President, did you call a vote on that motion?
No, not yet. There's a motion made that, under discussion, I was asking the question whether attorney had reviewed it.
I would say, yes, sir, I'm reviewing it now. I'll have it reviewed, for Luke by the morning, but go ahead and proceed with your motion.
Thank you. There's been a motion by Commissioner Roberts, second by Commissioner Gamayo to approve the beyond engineering testing proposals presented for the ESD portion of $64,036. Second by Commissioner Gamayo. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Luke, I believe we're good. Thank you so much, sir, for your patience.
Okay, if y'all need anything, do you want me to just hang on the phone, Chief?
I believe that was the only item you had, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioners, is there any reason for Mr. Ballister to remain online? No? And Luke, just don't forget, we'll need you on the line again next Tuesday.
Yes,
For you,
I'll be on there, and then I'll see y'all in person in February.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be back on the item 3 consent agenda. 3.1 is the minutes of the prior meetings for the December the 9th, 2021, December 14th, 2021, and December 20th, 2021.
Do you need a motion on the minutes?
Yes, we can have time to review one more for any questions.
No, that's good, I don't have any questions.
Making a motion to approve the minutes for the dates under 3. I'm sorry. For December 9th, December 14th, and December 20th.
Second,
There's been a motion to approve the required minutes as presented, 2.1, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Eight point two is business managers report.
Can I, President, do you mind if I make a request? On my 4.11 board procedure training, one of the people that I contacted is on the line and just wanted to do a quick introduction. Would it be okay with everyone if I ran through that real quick? Or-
Moving to item 4.11, discussion of possible action on board procedures training proposals.
I have a little handout for you guys, I think, on your packet. I have contacted the group, I've contacted several groups. I went through and called TAC, Texas Association of Counties, TML, Texas Municipal League, Texas Workforce Commission, about 6 different organizations that I was under the impression did training for parliamentary procedures, so we could work together as a group a little bit more efficiently, and also for new people coming on, maybe people that who haven't served on a board even. I've served on several boards, but nothing really where we had to go into extensive motions on big projects like this. This is a multi-million-dollar project, so it's real important, I think, that we work together. There's a little form that has the commission board training. So basically, I've reached out to a lot of different groups. One of them, the Dallas Parliamentary Association. There's Texas Parliamentary Association, actually, and the lady from Dallas actually got back to me, and she said she could put together more like a presentation, and she could do more extensive training with us. And it has her cost on that, but she never really got back to me to tell me what she would do and how she would go about doing it, if she could actually do the Zoom training, which I think for us is a pretty good deal since we're so far away, and it's more cost effective too. Unfortunately, she's not, I don't think she really does that. She can do it, but, and she said she would get back to me on it, but I've called and texted and called, and she didn't really respond as to what else she could do. The other group that I got a hold of, and that's who is on the line right now, it's GPBG Employer Advisors. They put up together a whole packet for us, and I think I emailed it to everybody Friday. But in that, it's very much more extensive. This is what they do. They go around to specific boards and train them on how to operate and help get them to do working with their group, whoever it is that they're representing, right? John, are you there? Or is it Roger?
I am bit of a loud child in the background here, but I'm here, yes.
Do you want to just give like a little synopsis, a quick synopsis, just maybe a minute or so of what it is exactly that you guys do and how you help groups like ours work more efficiently?
Yeah, so number one, thank you so much for the opportunity to present. The Great Place Benefits Group has been in business since 1988, and I've been with my dad since 2010. He's been in the business world since for 40 years, so he's been doing as part of boards of directors. He's been on boards of directors. He's reported to boards of directors, and so what we do is through the 2 different proposals that we gave to you. Parliamentary procedures is the first one, where we literally do parliamentary procedure training, because so many times we get onto boards and everybody assumes that we know how to do parliamentary procedures, but we just aren't all singing from the same
support. I mean, I've been listening into your board meeting, and I admire strongly what you all do, and I would be honored to be a part of making you an already better team. Now, number two is so that's the parliamentary procedure training, and that would be available completely virtually, where it's a mix of like, I would call it like virtual classroom training, where maybe 2 hours where we're all together like this. I know we all have busy schedules, so we try to not take up a ton of your time. The other part of the parliamentary training is where you could log in as every commissioner and anyone, Stacy, that you felt. It doesn't have to be just commissioners, it can be key staff members also will have their own login so they can do the parliamentary training on their own time. So then you will have access to all that online license and information for 12 months on the parliamentary procedure side of things. Now on the board training, the second proposal, that would be strictly, I would call it classroom time, where we do a 2 to 4 hour board training session, and then you also get ESCs number 1 and 2 get their own custom board member handbook that says, here's what we expect of all of our board members. It's great for when you have to bring someone on. You can onboard board members easily. We have things baked into their like codes of conduct. Ways that we all get on the same team. We're all singing from the same sheet of music. We are getting everything is uniformed as far as communication going out to the public. You're able to get, for instance, our goal is to get board meetings themselves down to 1 hour, because the meat of the board meeting should be done in 1 hour. Everything else should be done in committee. So I know I kind of rambled there, but I wanted to give you some information about it, and I just again thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, John.
Any questions?
So, John, I'll just ask real quick, just to kind of give people a little bit of an overview. You kind of said something the other day about, I don't know if I can quote you. So you had made a comment the other day about how if you're working together efficiently as a board, then you can get your product out. I'm not saying it right. You're able to get to a conclusion and make better choices more efficiently. Do you remember what you said with that? You told me that the other day.
Well, I would just say like any team, that we have to. I mean, everyone has. I believe everyone has the same. Especially in your emergency services, we all have the same passion. But sometimes we're pulling in different directions, and if we don't have a common way of doing our duty as board members, then we end up kind of being not as efficient as we possibly can.
If I may, this is Roger Hoover. I'm also involved in Great Plains. Essentially, what we're trying to suggest to you is that there are efficiencies that can be built into your board training where your agenda is quite lengthy and very much, I don't know if you are using subcommittees right now, but in a number of instances, much of what can be delegated to that committee level so that you get a summary report and are not necessarily bogged down with the minutia of detail in a board meeting setting.
Thanks, Roger. Thank you so much for chiming in. I appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions?
If I may, one last item I would offer very quickly. Once this training is completed, John has mentioned that we will make a 12-month commitment to you. With your permission and desire, we would monitor your meetings, if you will, as we are doing now, for a period of 30, 60, 90 days, and then back through your committee, through your chairman of your board, we would give both advice and suggestions on how efficiencies might be done. So we're not one-trick ponies. We will be there for you after the fact, and if anybody has questions or concerns, we're there for you. We'll be a phone call away, and we will be there for support for individual members or for your leadership.
And there's portals where you can watch videos and go back and look at the training and stuff with your organization too, right? Did I get that?
Exactly, yeah.
That's really helpful.
That's correct, and those can be customized, so literally it looks like it came from within, Reeves ESD 1 and 2.
Right. Awesome. And I just thought I'd make mention too that I talked to the safety, I think his name's Clay. Did he ever call you back, John?
No, he has not.
Okay, he was gonna call me back, I didn't hear back from, but I did talk to him, and he was really interested in kind of letting us spearhead this and watching how it goes and seeing if they can start implementing it at our convention with these guys. I mean, he seemed very interested in apparently there's some issues in other organizations where they're having difficulty getting through some of their meetings and stuff and knowing exactly how to proceed on some items, So he seemed really, and he called me I think on the 23rd, I was in Walmart doing my Christmas shopping, but we talked for 30 minutes and, anyways, so I just thought I'd add that.
Commissioner Roberts, so what's your recommendation?
I am obviously leaning towards this group. I feel like they have stepped it up and they're interested in giving us a full package. And it won't be just a one-shot deal. It'll be something that all of us achieve. Business manager, anybody that has any questions to participate and also check into. And I think would be a really good mediator for us. And also, I think it's something that once we get this done, that it will really benefit our group as a whole. So I'm gonna recommend that we look at this proposal and
What amount are we looking at?
the amount for this is $2,500,
Is that
and that's for everyone. That's not that's the cost upon the
it
proposal.
doesn't matter how many individuals?
John, you wanna answer that?
Well, that's for the parliamentary procedure,
Mm-hmm.
but that's assuming you have five board members on number 1 and 5 on number 2, and then, how many staff members on number 1 and number 2?
You would have
12, 14.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 or 7, I guess. But it depends, I guess.
I would say key members probably, and I'll let you, I would say definitely Monica, the people that would be doing
Yeah,
minutes,
so 1,
and
2, 3, 4, 5.
Total 15 meetings?
yeah.
So just a quick question, we keep bringing up ESD 2, is the expectation to split the costs with ESD 2?
If they're interested, it would be something that we would offer to them if they wanted to.
Well,
Yeah.
and the reason I'm asking is if that's what the expectation is, and, we would need this to be put on their agenda for next
Sure,
week. And could this gentleman come on board to explain just like we did today?
Did you hear that, John?
Yeah, I definitely could, because that's I saw it on your website, because you guys are the first Tuesday or second Tuesday?
It's gonna be the second Tuesday and the third Tuesday. So a week from today, ESD 2 board will meet. And if we're considering for them to consider this, I really would like for you to present to them as well and kind of explain what you just did to ESD 1. I think it would be very helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll get your information from Commissioner Roberts.
If there is a variable, the $2,500 is the set fees, we do not increase it or decrease it based upon the populations that you just described to us. You know, if you've got 25 people or 50 people in that range, we would have to talk, but at this point, our fees are based upon the information that was provided to us earlier for the two boards.
Can I ask a question? What's his name?
Yeah,
John?
John and Roger Kruger.
Yeah.
John and Mr. Kruger, a quick question. This is Chief Garcia, the Joint Emergency Services Chief for both ESDs. So I know you mentioned that you would also listen in on the meetings for like you're doing today. Now, if ESD2 comes on board, would you also be offering that to them as well with the amount you're putting now, or would that be an additional cost?
That's the second. That was the second proposal, correct?
Chief, the answer to your question is, we will monitor both sets of meetings, and whatever period you determine what you would like us to have. And no, this is, what, the fee that is reported there is inclusive of that monitor.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're presenting the right amount to both boards.
2,500 is the total that would be paid.
Yeah, and I emailed that proposal to everyone. I'm pretty sure I sent you a copy.
This is today.
No, Friday. I think I sent it Friday. I think you got a copy too, but I can resend that if for some reason didn't get it, but he did send a proposal over. So we can do that.
And we don't mind monitoring, that's part of the deal is monitoring. We just don't want anyone to shoot the messenger, because we want to provide feedback, obviously,
Right. Right.
The monitoring and feedback would occur predominantly through either the secretary's office or through the chairman. And we don't want to interrupt your meetings in that process, but when you're done, we would just give you our summary of suggestions that we have seen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
How would this look on our budget?
On the budget, we're good on the budget. We have the money in the account, we'll just have to add the line items appropriately, but it can be done.
And that's a 22 budget.
That's 22.
And then if there's difference in time, then it'll be a 50/50 split, so it'll be less expensive for each board. So, but all we're gonna need is a contact info.
Sure.
So I can add that to them, so I want to connect that to the ESD2 agenda. Can I keep this or make a copy?
Okay, I'll recommend that we table this until it's presented to ESD2. And
Do you mind if I make a motion to, present this to ESD2? The first, we've agreed upon the first for our group. Are we making I'd like to make a motion to accept the proposal for ESD1 pending ESD2's, pending next week's meeting. With ESD2.
second motion. The motion to accept proposal pending the presentation to ESD2. There's been a motion by Commissioner Roberts, second by Commissioner Montes. Any further discussions? No further discussions, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Should I ask one more question? Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
John, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
I'll reach out to you, but is it possible to, on this proposal, add an additional line where it says Reeves County ESD number 2, right below ESD 1, for them to be able to sign if they approve everything next week?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I can still modify the last page?
Just the last page, yes, sir, that way if everything gets approved, that way they'll have a place to sign as well as the USB one.
You got it.
And I'll reach out to you tomorrow and give you my email address.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, Roger.
For the privilege of serving you.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and hang up, if that's okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll move to 3.2 is business managers report.
Hi, everyone. A couple of things. Some of you know that we were supposed to have gone live with Encode 10 this week or this month. And due to some issues, we are postponing Encode for the moment. And with that said, it's because we're trying to work out some bugs with Encode. So we're gonna wait and have a meeting with them in a couple of weeks and move forward. And then once we figure out what we're gonna do, I'll give you the time for our training and what we're gonna be working on. With that being said, we are going to still be using ADP right now and QuickBooks. And so for the invoices that are due for this month, we only had enough checks to print a few payments for you guys to sign tonight. We had to reorder some checks, so the checks will be in tomorrow, or I think tomorrow, they're supposed to be here tomorrow, so that we'll have you guys come back and sign some more invoices. We do have them ready for you, for Naomi has them for y'all, to go ahead and sign the big ones, and we'll get those mailed out tonight. And then we'll come back and ask you guys for signatures later in the week after we get the check stopped in. And she has a list of those as well, so you have all the backup there with you, so you can see what we're paying. And if you have any questions on those while she's passing that out, then we can answer those while we're here right now. Okay. I want to go over a little bit, a couple of numbers. I've been doing some research and finding out that there have been some journal entries that haven't been inputted since the previous business manager was left. So we are going through and making some corrections. So if you look at the budget versus actuals, then you'll see that there are some numbers that may be different from last month, and it's because that we found some places that needed some corrections. And all it is the line items, the money's there, they were just created and put to the wrong income, the wrong line number. So I corrected those, especially for the revenue. The revenue is the biggest one that we had to go in and make corrections on. There's a few things with property taxes that we have not received yet for December, and we will receive those hopefully this week. If not, we will make a trip down to the appraisal district and get those reports that we need to close out December. The money is correct, 13 million, and then we'll just have to move some of the money in the line items for the revenue, but everything stays the same, everything matches the bank account, we're all good on the bank account. All the expenses are accounted for, some of them are just in the wrong line item, so we're still working on that and trying to get those moved around to the correct line items. And once we do that, then next month we'll have you guys approve the budget, the final budget, along with all of the amendments for where we need to make amendments for. And look at 2022 again, see if there's any adjustments that we need to make. If you want to look at the cash flow statement, let's see. Hold on. So on the cash flow statement, we are everything's been accounted for. There are a few things that are regarding the property tax for the governmental accounting standards boards, which is a governmental accounting piece. Some of those journal entries have not been made, so that once those entries are made and we can find out where where we need to put them correctly on the cash flow statements. The cash flows may be adjusted a little bit, but it's not gonna be a big adjustment. I do have a worksheet if you guys want to see my actual worksheet to where I'm coming up with the numbers. Because we've been going back through, and I started all the way from January, and I started with January, and I've been going straight through the whole list to find out where all the money is located, making sure that everything balances correctly, the funds actually balance. There are a few expenditures or expenses that just need to be moved to a different line item. But overall, I think we actually are in really good shape. We've only spent about 2.5 million, and we have revenues over 10 million right now. So, that's very good for us. I'm excited for that. And I found out on text pool, because you guys asked, because the interest rate on text pool is very low, and y'all wanted to know if we could move that money over to a different firm. And at this moment, I can't do that until I take the Public Investing Act, Texas Public Investing course, Public Funds Investment Act training. And once I do that, then we can start looking into moving that to a different organization. Okay. Do you guys, oh, and Ms. Stacy, you asked the other day if we were bonded, and we are bonded. And there's a letter that is attached to the back of one of the, attached in that worksheet someplace, I can't remember exactly where it's at, just has the wrong dates on it. I'm not sure exactly what she has it, cash investment. Maybe? I can't remember what it's actually titled.
The last one.
That one. So that page, I called the bank and actually confirmed, and then they sent us a copy of the letter, so the dates are just wrong, and we will update that for you guys, so it'll be correct. Okay? You're welcome. And if you guys have any questions, please ask me any questions. If you want to stop by and look at my stuff, you're more than welcome to come look at my stuff, come look at everything that you want to look at. And Naomi, I think she has about 11 checks for anticipated question on if you
Any questions, business?
For sure. A motion to approve the consent report. 42.
I second.
First, we have a motion by Commissioner Morales, second by Commissioner Roberts to approve the business report presented. Any discussions? No discussions, all in favor say aye. Aye.
So all this is there, and put it in the attachment.
We're at 3.3, 3.4 is the annual review of the post insurance taxes and debt compliance policy.
Commissioners, my understanding. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, Chief, please go ahead.
No, it's, I was gonna say, I believe this is just kind of an annual review of the post-issuance tax exempt debt compliance policy. Regina, is that correct or am I incorrect?
No, that's correct, and I just wanted to kind of give the board members who, got on the board after this policy was adopted, just some information. You all should have a copy of the current policy. This is in compliance with the Internal Revenue Code. The policy was created after the district issued its first series of debt. So, Reeves CSD 2 also has the same policy, as do other local governmental entities and other governmental entities who have tax exempt debt outstanding, which does like you. We are not recommending any changes, but the policy does require an annual review. So it does need to be noted in the minutes that, that there was the annual review and that no recommendations were, no revisions were recommended at this time. So we are not right for performing the, debt checklist at this point, for reviewing those with your business manager, who is under the term your tax compliance officer. Kathy, we'll get with you when the time is right to do that.
Okay.
But this is your policy. It's a very short and sweet policy. And like I said, it does comply with the Internal Revenue Code provisions related to this.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
So what exactly do we need to do? Just announce that we do have an annual review of it? As
It's just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, I'm sorry.
It just needs to be noted in the minutes that you all reviewed it and that I recommended no amendment. There doesn't need to be any action on it.
Okay. With that, we did receive a copy of the policy, and there was no recommendations for any changes by the council. Anything else in 2.4? 3.5 is another resolution authorizing imposing of a 20% penalty for collection costs on income taxes for tax year 2021 and subsequent years.
Same
Do
thing,
you want me to address this?
yeah, if you don't mind, Regina.
Sure, not a problem. So this is another annual agenda item, that, you need to adopt, for each tax year as they arrive. So this is for the 2021 tax year, and it is imposing the statutory 20% penalty, for the collection cost of any delinquent taxes that exist, after these particular time periods. So there are some of your taxes that become delinquent on June 1st. And then there are some taxes that become delinquent on February 1st. And so in order for your delinquent tax attorney, which is McCrary, Stelza, Black, and Allen, to obtain 20% statutory collection costs, we do need to have this resolution on file and send it to your tax office as well as to your delinquent tax attorney's office. Just to show that the penalty can be implemented and that. And like I said, this amount is statutory, it's not a negotiable amount, it's something that state law provides for. Just needs to be formalized in a resolution.
So is there no signatures?
The certificate page, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
So we held back on sending the certificate page because we weren't sure what the slate of officers was going to be. This has the slate of officers on it, we held that back, but I can email it over to Monica and have her print that.
Is this something we need to sign?
Yes. Yeah, we're adopting a resolution, so that's what I was trying to look and see, and it's also section 5. Does it have to be done today?
Well, it does, yes, because it does be done before February 1st. So section 3311 of the tax code, the taxes that are applied under that particular provision, those become delinquent. I believe those are personal property taxes, become delinquent on February 1st. This does need to be agreed for them.
On the resolution document itself, does it stop at section 5, or is there additional information on it?
No, that's it.
So Regina, is this the same amount that it was last year? This is just the standard 20% that it is every year?
The same amount it's been for as long as I can remember, yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the imposition of a 20% penalty for collection costs and delinquent taxes for tax year 2021 and subsequent years.
I second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Contreras, second by Commissioner Camarillo to adopt the resolution. Any further discussion? No further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 3.6, discuss medical director insurance renewal with Oracle Insurance Services. It's set to expire April 27, 2022.
Again, Commissioners, this is an annual, this is the insurance policy for our medical director, Dr. Fairless. It is a joint purchase or a joint venture with ESD2. Unfortunately, we don't have the renewal yet. We'll have to do, Regina, unless you have it, because I know I didn't get it.
No, I would not be one to repeat that, no.
Okay. You haven't received it? So this will just give you a heads up. This will be something that we'll be placing onto your probably February board or March board to get probably February. So hopefully that way you'll have plenty of time to review it. If you have any questions, plenty of time. So.
So will you table this?
Yes, sir.
We'll table 3.6. We'll go on to 4.1 already. Talk about it. 4.2, discussion and possible action on testers.
Yeah, Commissioners, as you all know, we've been working diligently and trying to put together our ESD volunteer program. And this is the last piece that we're waiting for. Scott, are you on the line?
I am.
Thank you, Scott. Scott works for testers. And Scott, did you want to go over your presentation? Because we do have some new commissioners that were not here when you initially went over this. And just to bring all the commissioners on board is that this is the Texas Emergency Services Retirement System, or testers as they call it. This is currently what the Texas Volunteer Fire Department is utilizing. And so what this is basically that last piece that if the board chooses to, is to go ahead and pay, and Scott can answer those specific questions and literally transfer that program over to the ESD. And then moving forward, the ESD would have to take care of it, okay? So Scott, if you don't mind just giving a presentation to our commissioners and helping us answer any questions they might have.
I will do. Yeah, thank you so much for your time this evening. Also, we're being joined by our executive director, Shirley Hayes. Transition right here from the Pecos to the Reeves is a little bit more complicated than what we're used to, and I know Shirley, she's been working diligently with the department trying to get all this information correct.
I got a 40 slide presentation. I'm not gonna bore y'all with all that. I wanna jump into the weeds if I can for this. We were created by the Texas legislature in 1977 for the volunteer firefighters and first responders. Since then, we have started taking on paid departments. Now, I think y'all are going to the county and district as far as your paid individuals. The majority of our people, our departments, they are volunteer. And the reason why we were created is because at the end of the day, nobody was doing anything, for the volunteer fire people. I've noticed in y'all's other presentations, y'all really talk a lot about recruiting and retention. A lot of our departments use this as far as recruitment and retaining individuals. And again, at the end of the day, you're giving them something other than a pat on the back and a patch. They're actually getting a lifetime annuity, and there's death and disability benefit. We currently have 238 departments in the state of Texas. And again, I'm sorry, I'm just going to get into this right here. So the department requirement is not provides fire and emergency services, not a for-profit entity, and has at least 7 active members.
Scott, if you tell us.
Why is the department? Go ahead.
Scott, if you tell us what slide you're on, we can move. We have the PowerPoint up on the screen. We just don't know what slide you're on.
Yeah. Let's go down to slide 10 if we can, please.
Okay.
Okay, so the governing body, ESD elects to participate. This right here really doesn't pertain to y'all. This is for new departments, purchase up to 15 years of prior service and delay the purchase up to 5 years. Slide 11. I'm sorry. Let's go down to slide 12 if we can. The members have to be at least 18 years of age. We don't have a waiting period, our probationary period that y'all may call. But after 6 months, if somebody comes into your department, they have to be enrolled in our system. And then we have to receive, the chief has to receive a certification of physical fitness, and they cannot be a current Kesseries retiree. So going down to slide 13, certification of physical fitness, we don't get a copy of it. Just the chief or the participating department head gets the copy of it. They say they have it, we're okay with it. We don't care how old it is. It can be 2 or 3 years old. It doesn't have to be something new. I'm not quite sure what y'all's requirements are going to be for y'all's department. But that's basically how an individual gets in. So if we can go down to slide 16, support services. We have what we call 2 different types of people. We got active members and what we call support services. Support services, if you can go down to the next slide, 17. So somebody that directs traffic at a scene, dispatching, driving, a mechanic, or record keeping can be enrolled in Kesseries. We all realize that, once we reach a certain age, we don't all need to be running into buildings and fighting fires, but we still want to be part of the department because we really like, just hanging out and being with other individuals and the camaraderie. And we don't want to lose all that experience. So we allow them to become what we call support services. Now, your support service individuals, they do not have to have a physical. They can just be enrolled. If we can talk about the participating department head. Let's go to slide 19. So participating department head are the chief. They have to receive the certification of physical fitness, and their main role is enrolling new department members and terminating department members.
It's not real complicated, it's just one piece of paper that just has to be filled out and sent to us. You can get them in immediately, or you can terminate them immediately. That way you're not sitting there paying for individuals that you shouldn't be paying for. Additional responsibilities, corrects errors in enrollment, and keeps up with the qualified service, if you would. And I'll talk about qualified service here in just a moment. The chief, on slide number 21, the chief, it can give administrative duties to somebody else. They can delegate those duties, so the chief still has a responsibility. All they have to do is sign the paper. Somebody else can fill it out and make it happen. Qualified service on slide 22. Okay, an active member has to attend at least 20 hours of annual training and participate in 25% of the department's emergencies. Now, we realize we have, some departments that are rural and those individuals can't respond to all 25%. So that's where the board has the latitude to come up with what they call the 25%. We have 238 departments, and we probably have 238 different ways of, reporting the qualified service. We have some departments that say you got to make, 25% of the emergency calls for a structure fire. They don't have to report to all the, traffic accidents or whatever. We allow the board to come up with that. If you can, I want to talk about the retirement benefits on slide 24. You have to be at least 55 years of age. After 15 years of qualified service, you're eligible for 100% retirement. Once you reach the age of 55, and you got 10 years of qualified service, you're eligible for 50%. You start taking it. And you can see the increments there, the 11, 12, 13, and 14 years increases 10% each year until you reach the 15 years of qualified service. Any questions on the qualified service or anything I've talked about so far?
Step by step. Step by step. Commissioner, nothing? Go ahead, Scott. No questions at this point.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, we just want to show you this slide right here. Our goal, and I understand with the state agency, and a lot of people, they think, I don't want to deal with the state of Texas, okay? Our main goal, and I'm sure Shirley can attest to this, that is to make sure the checks go out every month to our retirees. And you can see the numbers there. We send out about 3,700 checks a month. And the average is about $152 a person. So we're there to open the mail for y'all, to help you administrate this thing, answer your questions. You'll be given a benefit specialist. And we just want to make sure we get the checks out. If we can move to slide 26, I really want to touch on this. Qualified service in excess of 15 years, it starts compounding annually 6.2%. And there's no limit on that. We have some members that have been in 25, 30 years, and they don't need the money, they don't want to take the money right yet. They just want to just watch it accumulate and just keep growing, year after year. Again, after 15 years, those individuals, they want to take it. It's their money. We want them to have it. Now, keep in mind, once they start drawing their retirement, the death and disability benefits goes away. And I'll touch base on that here in a minute. But on this next slide, on slide 27, we just want to show you all the difference. At $36 a month contribution rate, after 10 years, it's $108 a month. And people may say, that's not gonna keep anybody here. But if you annualize this over 29 years, which is what our actuary came up with, now you start talking, you're $38,000 over the lifetime. After 15 years, it's 76,000. And you can see where that compounded, that 6.2% starts getting involved here. You go up to 102,000 and 136,000. Now, the minimum contribution rate is $36 per member per month. Okay? And so y'all can do the math of how many people y'all going to show up. You can be looking at what kind of expenditures you're going to be, sending out. We bill in arrears every 6 months. There's no upfront billing. And you can see, if you raise it up to a $50 average contribution rate, now you're talking after 15 years, you're talking $300 a month per individual. And so again, there is no maximum, but there is a minimum of $36. The local board on slide 28 is comprised of 6 members, one selected by the governing body, so one to come from RCESD, 3 who are active members of the department. Those are elected by the individuals, the active members of your department. Those 4 members get together and they select 2 from the community. We really want to have the community involved in this because we don't want somebody saying at the end of the day, where's our money going? Well, you got 2 active members from the community that's involved. We ask that the board meet 2 times a year. Once in February, this is on slide 29 if you would please. Once in February is the big meeting to elect officers, review qualified service, because we want to make sure that everybody's getting their qualified service, because if they're not getting it, it's not being turned in, they'll never get their retirement. So we help y'all out with that with our benefit specialists. And then also to review your roster, your membership reconciliation report. And then again, we ask that the board to meet one more time in August to approve the membership reconciliation report. Again, this is when y'all will get y'all's invoicing twice a year. The only other time that we ask the board to meet, if there's a death or disability benefit that needs to be being paid out. Your local board, if you would, on slide 31, you can see they're in 2-year terms. So they have to be reelected every 2 years. We stagger those 3 and 3, 3 board members, odd years, 3 board members, even years. That way your whole board doesn't expire all at one time. Y'all are just left with nobody that knows what's going on. You'll have 1 chairman, 1 vice chair, and 1 secretary, and 3 trustees. Again, 3 from the fire department, 1 from the governing entity, and 2 from the community. Our billing process is very simple on slide 32. You'll get your semi-annual bill, again, billed in arrears, once in January and once in July. The billing process, it's just monthly contributions for your members. Hopefully y'all won't have any, administrative penalties that will come your way. Just turn in your paperwork, and that's all it really is. Active roster on slide 35. All that means is just members of your active department. Again, after 6 months, everybody has to be enrolled. We don't want have active members out there, some covered and some not covered. You know, God forbid something was to happen to two of them, one's covered and one's not. We're given a death benefit of $100,000 to one beneficiary and our condolences to the other because we can't do anything about that. Again, we're not an insurance agency. This is a death benefit. The board gets together, you know, again, something happens to somebody and there's a death. There's no investigation, and they usually, the board gets together and just sends us the information, says, you know, this was a line of duty death. There's $100,000 death benefit that's paid out. Talk about the active members benefits on slide 36. There's $100,000 paid to the beneficiary and a monthly annuity that will be paid to the surviving spouse or minor children of the beneficiary. Slide 37, there's also an off-duty death benefit. It's just a sum of your contributions that's paid that's up to equal to 15 years. I can't give you an exact dollar amount on that because I don't know what everybody's paying all the time. Everybody's treated equal. If one individual comes in at $36, everybody has to come in at $36. There's no favoritism, you know, it's clear, it's cut. Everybody's treated the same. And then there's also an on-duty disability benefit. That's a minimum of $400 a month. If somebody's injured in the line of duty, they're eligible for a disability benefit. Vested members, so this is somebody that has at least 10 years of qualified service. And we know these individuals, they jump from department to department, but they all want to be volunteers. You know, we have somebody in Reeves County, and they transfer over to Lake Jackson. As long as they sign up and they join the volunteers, we keep up with the record keeping for them. So they can move from department to department to department, and we will always keep up with their years of active service. So there's some contact information, and I'm sure, you know, I kind of rambled through this because I know y'all are probably getting tired. But Shirley, did you want to add anything to this right now? Okay, I guess that's a no. Does anybody have any questions about this retirement system?
Sure, I do. This is Commissioner Roberts.
Okay.
How many ESDs are you currently providing this for in Texas?
There's probably about 30% of our departments are with ESDs, and the rest of them are with the city. I can't give you an exact number, but you know that's probably 30 to 40% are with ESD.
This is Shirley. I'm sorry that my iPad muted. Again, we can get that information from you. And I wanted to make a comment about this presentation that Scott has provided. The presentation he uses whenever a department has expressed interest in joining the system. And so he'll go through those requirements to come in and requirements to be a member and discussions about the local board. If I can, just with I think maybe Chief, if you that had in your presentation had a piece about the consolidation of the paid volunteer fire department. And so for your circumstances with the payments department and that consolidation, those members in the department, and I think that the other attachment that we have in the agenda, the amendment that thinks about it. It's really a merger, a consolidation, that they would not have to have physical fitness, they would not have to, it's more or less, in effect, a name change for the, political subdivision responsible, I guess, for the department, moving from the city to the ESD, and more or less name change for the department. You know, moving from the Hydra volunteer fire department to the Reeves, the ESD one. And that transition is what we're trying to accomplish, I think, through the amendment. And, where, I guess, the ESD's election to join the system, so to speak, it would come about through, the reason why this is called an amendment is that it amends that original agreement that started, and I wish I had the date, that whenever we initially had, the Pecos Volunteer Fire Department, the candidates participating in the common system. So that's the contract that this would amend, and that's why it reads the way that it does. Well, now with the references to the governing entity or the governing body would belong to the ESD, and where it's just that shift for the purpose of participation in the pension system by these members that would be consolidated into your department. I don't know if it's a helpful explanation or not, but this is a very unique situation with the Pecos department coming into your ESD. It's not something that we ever anticipated. Even we've got a rule, we kind of had to, our attorneys, we're a public retirement system. We have the council that helps us keep our status as a public retirement system, and our plan is through the Internal Revenue Code. And so they obviously wrote this amendment in order to ensure that all of the requirements, all of the responsibilities of the governing body that have been with the city become those responsibilities of the ESD. And so that's why this is a very unique, never happened before kind of consolidation of mandate from that city department into the ESD. Now, we do have, we can get you the numbers on how many of our departments are either a part of an ESD, usually through contracts, and we have a lot of ESDs around the Houston area, because there's so many of them there. We could come up with the numbers, but we do have quite a few. We have one of our board members, is an ESD commissioner from Alvin. That is ESD, maybe it's 3, and I can't remember which one is and he's been around our system for a long time. We've got several of the Harris County ESD trainings in our system at the CETA. So this is it's something that ESD has found this to be a really good, as Scott said, it's a good recruitment and retention tool when it comes to volunteers. We also have our government code permits any part-time pay to come our system because of the very nature that the part-time pay, they wouldn't be eligible, depending on the hours that they work a week, they wouldn't be eligible for certain benefits. So we have that provision if that will ever come about for renewal. If y'all have any questions that you have, let me know. I don't know if y'all had time to read through the amendment. If you have any questions about how the
I'd like to ask my president a question, if you don't mind. Do you mind?
Like, no,
Has our legal team, either one of them looked at this?
that was one of my questions.
No.
And who will
I
has,
have not, and then,
has the city?
No, it has not been provided to me. I have some very, definitely certain have some questions.
I hear you.
In particular, the first one being that Reeves 2, RCESD 2 should not be a party to this contract.
Well, this is this was provided at the time, this was done back in December, with, based on just on conversations with, I guess with, I was in, I guess that was in August, with the city and the ESG and the fire department at a meeting there. But that nuance was, I realize now that ESG 1 has fire and ESG 2 EMS, and that's obviously something that was provided in the minutes. But, yes, I think that, that, a review from your legal team, and questions about this concept of transfer of responsibility, is something that is, like I said, very unique. We are a public retirement system. All of our departments, have the same, and the governing bodies of those departments have the same, kind of responsibilities that are outlined here. We would certainly, assist with, that, consolidation and we would also take a look at how because of having local boards is perfect for the retirement system and to help, with decisions with regard to things like with benefits, with the death benefits, as Scott mentioned, or disability benefits. We would help with that and with that need to change. The members of the local board would be volunteers that are in our system and elected by those volunteers. And I know that y'all have you have a particular program outlined with regard to volunteers for your department. But if you wanted to send it to your attorneys and have them review it and ask questions, and if need be, we could have we could conference with your attorneys, with our plan attorney to answer any questions.
Can I move to have our legal team take a look at it? I'm gonna make a motion to the contract specifically.
Yeah, members of the board, I just advise you to take no action or table this item and let us have a chance to look at it, and then we'll all get together and let us work on it together. Don't take any action to adopt it tonight. We'll still work on it together over the next week or so and kind of get some questions answered that I have about we do merge this over and what that's going to look like, and how we have to do this door and I have a procurement question as well, so I need to look into. So let's just chew on it a little bit and we'll bring this back to you guys. My advice.
Commissioners, I do have a question if I can ask the citizens.
I would actually like to handle this without any funds through the box.
That was going to be my next question. Which firm would you like this to present to oversee?
It doesn't really matter to me. Regina, would you mind taking a look at it?
If that's the consensus of the board, I'd be happy to.
I'd like to make a motion that, that Regina's law firm take a look at the pension system amendment, I guess it is. Is it a proposal? For the TESRS system.
I'll second the motion. There's been a motion by Commissioner Roberts, second by Commissioner Contreras to have attorney, Ms. Adams look over the documents. Any further discussions? No further discussions, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Regina, do you think you could have a look at that and have it by next week? Is that feasible?
I should be able to, if I can get a copy of the, underlying agreement first, that would be very helpful. I'd like to know what we're ending. So, but yeah.
Then recommend that we,
I can send, to, ESD copies of the originating contract and then it being the subsequent amendment, so you'll have the whole thing.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay.
anything further? We'll jump to 4.4. We'll come back to the policies and procedures. Probably the last one. 4.4, discussion and possible action on paperless proud.
And Commissioners, this is something that came up during a 2x4 meeting. I believe there's a program that's spearheaded by the city of Pecos. And Ms. Heather Ramirez is going to be here, Charles, you're here to speak.
I am,
Speaking
yes, sir.
on behalf of that. So Charles, can you kind of explain Pecos Proud and what the request is of the ESDs?
Yes, sir. Pecos Proud is a group of 4 individuals, can't be as many as 5, that have designated areas of cleaning up and making sure that coming into the city, moving around and in certain areas around schools, public thoroughfares, that they're dedicated to cleaning that up. They work 40 hours a week, 5 days a week in certain areas moving around, including some of the medians along or common areas around our intersections off the interstate. They're responsible for the whole town, and as it currently stands, the city is the administrator of the program and picks up whatever the total costs are. We get contributions from the county, from the school district, and from county school district, and from the hospital district. So those are the 4 entities that have been participating. And at the joint entity meeting, there was discussions about whether or not it would benefit the ESD more participate in the program. I don't have anything that I'm bringing in a formal agreement right now. We're still working on that. I can tell you that historically, the entities, the 4 entities, and I can't say it all 4, 3 of them, the county and the hospital district were contributing $75,000 a year to pay for salaries, benefits, equipment, and everything. The hospital was paying $45,000. After discussions with our council and everything and the other board, what we're looking at doing is we have some equipment needs that we're looking at for this current year that we're gonna have to spend some money, there's no question. They have to have all of the tools and equipment they need to perform the task. The city has been bearing more than their share of the cost. And that's why we're looking at our proposal that we're gonna put out this year, because we have a new regime, okay? And it's not the same people. I don't know how the school district got off. They get a nice chunk of change at the end. We take care of the schools every single week. Every single school has clean up around their facilities every single week. Not on campus, but around the facilities. And I don't know how they got off of 45. So we're looking at equalizing it and taking that to 75,000 for all of the entities. So if we do that, that is the amount that we'd be looking for bringing to ESDs. With that being said, it's a board decision. ESD, our way of thinking is you all put a lot of road miles in. The only one who probably puts in anywhere near as much is our police department. And I can tell you that our police department is not diligent about saying, you know what, it looks horrible over here, or you're running into something. Just like you were saying, Chief, you see fire hydrants that got tumbleweeds all around. This is exactly the kind of areas that make us proud to be able to do. We could have incidents, and we're looking at trying to organize it a little better. It's been a little bit haphazard in the past. We have one lead tech, and he's going to be much more proactive. He's probably going to become more of a supervisor and be paid as a supervisor instead of his 4 equals there. And we want to make sure that anybody coming into the city in this area thinks, man, this place is a nice place to come. It's clean, it's kept. That may not seem like a lot sometimes, but it has a huge benefit from a public perception standpoint. And so we don't want to burden you or say, this is a mandatory issue. We would like for the ESD to participate if they see fit, if they can see a benefit from it. If it means that they're coming out here and they're taking care of, run fire stations, okay, that's no sweat. But the main thoroughfares are what their primary responsibility is. Anybody coming into town on I-20 or on Business 20 or 285 or 17, we want it to look like these guys are taking care of their town. That's what the program was developed for and the way that it's been being maintained. I can tell you that the city's piece of it this past year, we got the $195,000 in from the 3 entities. The city's piece of it was probably a little over $100,000. So it's costing about $300,000 to $400,000 to have that program in place. If we can grow it the way that just having discussions with Peggy's about other areas that they think it can help with around the community, we would anticipate that probably the total cap is going to go up to around $500,000. That may be on manual operations. I can tell you that our city shop maintains all the vehicles. That's not incurred, that's not distributed or allocated to that piece of it, so that there's going to be additional cost on maintenance of the equipment and stuff like that, that's not directly allocated to them. So there's additional incidental costs that are outside of that $400,000 number that I'm putting out there. But it's something that it was brought up in the joint entity meeting. Heather couldn't be here tonight, so I said I would come and I would give you all just an overarching summary of what the program is about. With that being said, I want the board to take it under consideration. We don't have anything to present to you in a concrete format. I don't know that each one of the, I see it benefiting both ESDs 1 and 2 in any of the promotions that we put out. We make sure that all of the entities are included on there from a promotional standpoint about Peggy's Brown. So there's some advertising piece of it that comes into play, even though it's not being specifically paid for. Most of you all have probably seen them out there. Whether or not you noticed that it was Peggy's Brown or not is another issue. You'll see them alongside the highway a lot of times, with trailers and pickup trucks and try to.
Can I ask a question?
Of course you may. Yes, ma'am.
How many people are employed right now with it? 4?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of equipment do you have right now?
Well, trucks, I think we have 3 trucks. We have 2 trailers that they deal with. We have some tractors that are available when they need it, they'll load it up. We utilize the water departments or the parks department trailers to transfer that. They don't need their specific items. They have lawnmowers, weed eaters, anything else you could think that would need to be maintained, the gloves, pickers, trash bags. There's items that come into play like that. So their equipment is generally used. And the volume that they do, for instance, lawnmowers, weed eaters, we're probably replacing weed eaters multiple times a year, okay, because of the volume that they go through. And some of the areas, if we get a rainstorm and stuff and they have to go clean up around the interstate, sometimes I can destroy a piece of equipment in just a little bit of time because of the growth that we get in there.
Do you have like a printed budget that you keep up with if somebody oversees or a board oversees or?
We have a finance director who's going to oversee it. So we do have a budget that we put into place for Peggy's Brown. Yes.
Because I think they asked that at the last 2 monthly meeting and she didn't have it.
She didn't have it. I have it available.
Okay.
I can put it available. I can put it out so that it's available to everybody. And it's something that me being a little bit more proactive, with me being wanting to be transparent, I think is something that if we're in a joint program collectively, it doesn't matter whether it's 4 or 5 tax entities, there needs to be some accountability, at least on a quarterly basis. I think you all should be able to see financial statements or something like that, and on an annual basis, and put together, like when we're putting together our budget, all of the budgets could be maintained under the city because all of the expenditures we pay the employees, they're going to be W-2 wages and stuff like that. All of their costs are going to be incurred in the city.
They're already
They are.
being paid now though,
They're being
right?
paid now through the city. And it doesn't matter whether or not we offset the cost with what we get in, $195,000 we get, they're paid. All of the necessary incidentals get taken care of. If it goes up to $500,000 this year, the city's gonna be eating a couple $100,000. So it's one of the issues that we have to take a look at.
Are they city employees?
Yes, they're city employees, they're covered under our retirement, so the benefits and everything that are there, they're full-time employees. They receive health insurance benefits, city retirement, they're covered under the city retirement plan. And that's one of the reasons why there was talk, from what I understand, initially that they were gonna try to have one entity covered and try to rotate it, but that would be highly detrimental to the employees because they would have no consistency. So that's how come, and I don't know how it got to on the city's books, to tell you the truth, because I don't know to what extent, but it is something that's carried on the city's books. It has been in the year and a half that I've been here, but looking back, it's about a 4-year program that's been in place. And it's something that I think does have a benefit to the community. We don't allow the guys to respond directly to individual residents because that's not the objective. We do have a cleanup crew through the water department that can respond to those little items within the city that need to do that as long as we follow the certain protocol. That crew's handled under the water department, and it's not part of Baker's route. They have a predefined, in essence, I would say, route that they handle each month. But they can address individual items that they're seeing in another thoroughfare. It's a common area. It's something that benefits everyone.
Who did you say oversees it?
We have a supervisor in place. I don't know what his name is right now. I can't tell you, but there's 4 staff. Holly Jaraki's overseeing Baker's route. Our parks director and our community services director.
Okay.
She's not allocated to Baker's route. There's no allocation. She's our director of parks and community services.
She is or isn't?
She's not allocated. There's no allocation of her time or
Okay.
salaries to the program.
Okay.
That's where if I was.
She's just overseeing.
She is.
Okay,
If I was
she
trying
isn't.
to get a true cost to it, I would have to allocate some of the time. We're not doing that because it's not worth the record keeping. It's not a huge amount of time that she has to pay. She does oversee them. She checks in with them. They come talk to her once a week. But that's the extent of it. It's probably an hour a week that she has to oversee things. If an issue comes up, or there's somebody saying, well, they didn't come to this area, sometimes then it becomes an issue. The one area that we've put new protocols in place is they were being asked when they were around school campuses to come inside the school campus and do some stuff. We cut that out. We're not gonna, we can't absorb that liability with them going outside the campus and somebody making an allegation or something like that. They can clean up on the outside and around it when they need to. No more do they go inside the city grounds or school grounds, ISD grounds.
Did you say the school district dropped off?
No, they haven't dropped off yet, but they're talking about it. And they may talk about it more and they may not like that we want them to pay the same thing as everybody else. That's to be determined. But if the ESD decides that they want to come on board, along with the county's agreed to continue, so as the hospital district, we're going to continue the program. If everybody drops off, the city's not going to continue the program. We can't afford it. We just can't. It's not, it wouldn't be budgetary feasible.
I think I personally, I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but I would like to see that budget and I'd like to see the, a little more information on it.
You wanna see some meat on it?
Yeah, I wanna see yeah, just the budget on it and what you're paying out, what's coming in, what your expenses are, that,
Yes,
basic.
Totally agree with you, totally agree with you.
Basic
And I can tell you that before I got here, the record keeping wasn't as great as I would like. It's improved, and I continue to try to improve it. I have different standards than my predecessor had. And I would love to share accurate, real data with everybody involved and do it on a more regular basis. I think it's something that's owed everybody participating in the program. And so what I brought tonight is more of a discussion item because we haven't even put together the agreements or anything. It's they're done as MOUs. It's an MOU between the entities, and we have to modify it to change that amount for the school district. And we haven't done anything with it because we don't know what direction the ESD would take. And it's gonna be between ESD 1 and 2 is what I'm saying. So it's something that we have to come back.
That was gonna be my question. Are you going to each ESD requesting 75 from each ESD?
No. So I would say it's collective. I'd say it's collective, yes, sir. I don't see this being 75. I'd say it's gonna be 37.5 that we would request from each ESD to participate in the whole program.
So is there a possibility next Tuesday to attend ESD 2?
I will be here. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
No, sir.
Is it even possible for us to do this since we've already approved our budget? I mean, this wasn't.
You guys can always make amendments.
It'd have to be a budget modification from your all side if that was to be.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's possible, but as long as you all approve it.
Unless you have some contingencies in the budget. I don't know if there was any contingencies. If you did, then you could reallocate some from the contingency budget to this. But I'm not gonna tell Terry how to do it. I mean, she's got she knows what she's doing, so it's one of those issues. I may speak up because I am an accountant, I am a CPA, so sometimes I respond and I don't talk normal people language every once in a while, especially when I'm dealing with numbers. But it's something that I do want to make sure that I'm giving you everything you need to make an informed decision. You don't have that right now, and I agree with you.
Well, then we just table it for now until we get more.
Yeah, and I don't think we could do anything actually with this item until sometime in February when we can bring it back, because I'd like to do a presentation, get you all the information you need. Have the conversation next week with ESD to make sure that they're getting the same information that I've shared tonight. As you can tell, I didn't bring any notes or anything. It's all coming from the cuff based on discussions and stuff like that. It will be in a formalized agreement that maybe I can bring a template and shoot that to you all. But I do want to get you some financial information, and in a financial statement format or in a summary format. It's better for you.
I think a financial would be better.
Financial school? Okay, that's easier for me, but
I'm just saying, my opinion.
yeah. If you're familiar with financial statements, that's the best way to do it. I've just had some board members or commissioners that I've dealt with before that they had no accounting knowledge, so they wanted it in more of a narrative format. So I can operate either way.
Would you prefer?
I'm fine with financial.
Yeah. Very good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lino?
Thank you, and if you all don't need me, I'm gonna escape.
Feel free to take a plane home.
I'm not gonna take any of that, that's not on my diet. I'll have to tell my wife away and I'll get But thank you all for the time. I appreciate it.
If we can take a 5-minute break, we'll come back. 9:50, we'll be in recess in about 5 minutes. Yes, for supper.
Chicken pot pie. Yeah.
I need 5 minutes.
Do y'all want to sign that? Oh, no, this is Ms. Roberts. Do you want to sign it wrong? Do you want to try it out or? Sure, I'll do it.
We're not notarize anything, right, Louise?
I think we should have to get one.
Because I think just one sign on the.
Yes, you gotta know.
Yeah, so I don't know if he, and
I
so
think
he signed,
he can sign one, but then you still have to notarize another part.
but he signed it before we even signed, so technically it's not proper.
Oh. Cause I know there's a part that it says something about.
It should have waited for us to sign. I thought he was signing the signature line, but it has to be notarized, and if he was a notary, he has to attest that he signed it.
Oh, yeah, we did, signature, well, it says signature percent.
Yeah, it says, oh,
Yeah.
but then there'll be another one there.
This is where I, alright. Or, no. Yeah. Yeah, signature person administrator oath. I totally forgot about you still doing it, you can get one.
Long.
There's a microwave, if anybody wants to use it up. Oh.
It's hard. There being a whole lot of attention is on you don't care about it.
It had to happen. So turn that now.
Freddie, presently employed as. What? I he was ready to. What do you want to take care of?
Hey, Dave, what's the password for the Wi-Fi again?
Write it down.
Apparently, get an email from my work phone.
I have 2 jobs, so I just list one.
Yes. Can you put an open?
I concur.
It's okay, Fiscal.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Put that, yes, Wi-Fi on here and change it because there's some some of the nonsense stuff has been added to it. Yes.
Oh, the minutes.
Somebody's been added.
Right, they're still in the boxes.
Somebody knows. You're back.
Yes. I'm just saying that was really good.
It was really good. Yeah, they're going to their council.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
sure,
enough
like you said, everything else.
boxes up there, because we're shipping a lot to, just not
I don't know
to
what I'm
install. Without saying what's going on. I know it's order for, we don't think.
Very good.
And this come from Monica, it's fantastic. The icing.
That's ready. Here's some cheap.
All right. Oh my goodness. Is this what the kids eat?
No. Is it some food service? No, I don't, not that.
Bummer.
Right?
I wish I could put it in the menu.
Yeah.
It goes back to the nutritional stuff that they have to serve.
Down to far down.
Yeah, super strict.
This is so nutritional.
And you have your salad, and you have protein.
Go with your veggies. All your veggies and.
Yeah, they're super strict, but they.
I heard Domerate food is the bomb. Kids eat good over there.
Oh, for real? Wow. No, and there are some good items on the menu. Well, that's what my son told me.
The snack bar really, that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good. And it's perfect for this weather, right? Chicken noodle.
Oh, it's chicken pot pie. It's perfect.
Recording back on? We are now back in session, time is 8:00. Item 4.5, discussion of possible action on request for RFQ for CPA services.
As you know, since Ms. Lacey, some things fell through the cracks, and so what I'm asking is if you will allow me to get in touch with a governmental accountant, CPA firm, or a governmental accounting research firm to help me go through and make sure that we are up to standards with the governmental accounting standards boards or the governmental accounting account pieces. There are some journal entries that haven't been made since she left, and I don't understand her methodology on a coach level. So I just want someone else to come behind me and look at what I've done and see if it makes sense to deal on a couple of the governmental, accounting pieces. If we take over the, retirement for the volunteers, then that also has to be set up according to GASB. So there's some additional steps that I haven't really set up a whole lot about GASB. I haven't set them up myself, but know how to work them. But I want someone to come back behind me and tell me that yes, you did set it up correctly, or no, this is what you need to really do. So I'm just asking if you guys would mind just let me get a CPA to come in for a little bit, maybe 3 months, to help me go through and just dive in with me and look at everything to make sure that we are in accordance with GASB.
Just to remind the commissioners, we are following the RFQ process, so this request will be just to go out for RFQs, and then once we get those from in, we'll bring those back to you all. And once you all select the firm, then we'll go back out for proposals, and bring that proposal back to you.
So we wouldn't be, once we get the RFQs, we're not buying any, correct?
Right, no.
Do you have an estimate of what it might cost?
Yes, I know, not at this time, because I wasn't sure if you would allow me to, so I haven't really reached out for an actual dollar figures, but I have reached out to different people. So, some people said they would just help me just on the side whenever they had time at work, which I don't feel appropriate to do that, because I'd like them to be able to concentrate on it. I don't have to, when I call them during their day when they're working at an ESD or a government office and say, look, I have this question, can you explain? But I would like to have an actual CPA firm, so I can reach out. There's a few people that I have names for, I can give names. And there are a couple of agencies as well that I have names for, and then I've been on some that deal specifically with certain governmental issues that I'm looking into. So I wanted to reach out to all of those and see if I can get a price range and see what we can really go from there.
I think a lot of the estimates are going to be driven by the scope that we provide.
Would it be kind of like, a professional service?
Yes,
Kind of, under the professional services, I mean, we wouldn't have to go or but at the same time, I would like to have a dollar amount as what we might be looking at. So I don't know that we would have to put it out there, but
And is this just gonna cover like the area that you're looking into?
actually, I want them to look at the capital as well and see if there's anything in the governmental planning boards that I need, or governmental accounting that I need to make sure that we're set up correctly for. I haven't worked with capital as this large, and so I want another set of eyes to go back behind me and make sure that, yes, this is correct.
Like an audit?
Yes, like an audit,
Internal audit?
yeah.
So just to make sure I'm understanding, so you don't want us to go through the RFQ process?
well, I think, I mean, there's another option too, we can go with professional services, because it could be under 50,000. But I wouldn't feel comfortable authorizing 30,000 right now, because I mean, I would like to have an idea as more as, you know, yeah, I mean, what is that, and that's why, I asked earlier, is, the time frame. You say 3 months, but 3 months is not every day, I'm assuming, so.
Does it qualify for professional services? Does it qualify under professional services?
Yeah, because it's gonna be, it's like our accounting, our contractors,
Yeah,
our
because
auditors.
we brought in the bookkeeper, if I remember correctly, we had to go out for it, keep.
As long as I understand, as long as it's under 50,000,
So,
yes.
go ahead, Regina.
Oh, I was just going to interject really quickly, requesting CPA services does fall under professional services procurement act. It's not the same as going out to a bookkeeper. It's not the same as requesting proposals from the bookkeeper, which is not professional services.
Okay.
So that's why it would fall under the RFP process. It doesn't have anything to do with the amount of the contract or anything like that. It's isn't a, $50,000 threshold issue or anything like that. That's why the district previously hired an outside bookkeeper, even though it happened to be a CPA firm that they hired. If you weren't seeking EPA services, you were seeking bookkeeping services.
Gotcha.
Which is a different thing. So, I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
So Regina, if I understood you correctly, we would not have to do an RFQ, we could just go ask for proposals and bring those back to the board.
If you're not asking for CPA level services, correct, you're asking for just bookkeeper services for people who do governmental accounting, from a bookkeeping perspective, to kind of go through and kind of double check, these check and balance. That would not meet the criteria of needing CPA services, I wouldn't think. So, yes, you would not have to go through the RFP process to get those proposals, you just request proposals.
Thank you.
So budget wise, where would it come out of?
It come out of professional. So it would come out of professional services, or would it come out of bookkeeper? If I go with a CPA firm, it would come out of professional services, but if I go with a bookkeeper, then it will come out of our bookkeeper contracted line.
Professional services.
But as far as budget wise, how does it?
Budget wise, I mean, it's because we already have money in that account, so we're good for that. I just have to figure out what the dollar amount's gonna be. That's why I didn't want to bring anything to you until I knew what I wanted to move forward.
Can you give us a rough estimate of what might be available for those kind of services?
No, sir, because I don't have the process for those. I have to get the process for those.
No, but in the budget, I mean,
Oh, in the budget.
how much is budgeted
Oh,
for
yeah.
that, maybe, how much can we work for
Okay.
as far as budget wise?
The other question I have for you as part two is this something that, is this gonna be a joint venture or a both
It'd
separate
be
loans?
joint, we're gonna do both. So
Okay, so it would also be a 50-50.
So, let me find my. Let me get it open, just give me a second. So in contracted services, we have 30,000 in there.
What other kind of services do we expect besides?
I'm not sure if that would be part of the scope, I guess, and we're talking to the actual experts as to what we would be looking for.
No, as far as the budget item, there's budget 30,000, what was budgeted before? Do you have an idea?
We'll have the breakdown of those. Can you pull up 21s and see where we spend any of that item?
We've only spent, for last year, we only spent 19,000, almost 20, on contracted services, and those were for, human resources, HR. And because it's a contract service. Most of our budget in there is for the printer. Our monthly services for the printer control. The drone, it's gonna be a resident. So we have a couple of things with the drone in there, and then we have Canon Financial, which is the printers.
Last year 19 was spent, and for this year, there's 30,000.
Yeah, 30 budgeted.
You know, this is just a discussion, and, you know, I don't know, let's say ESD one would cap at 10,000 for ESD one, and if ESD two goes with another 10,000, that would be 20,000. I would hope,
not assume,
I would
I
hope.
hope it would not be.
So I don't know, a couple of questions is, would y'all like to have a RFQ go out, or just kind of authorize cap limit for these expenses? We had a short discussion on our advisory committee, and then we cut up, and so, you know, if there was an agenda item that can be placed on here to have a discussion on it, so. Initially, I think we talked about that, I guess no harm was done if going, getting RFQs on it. We feel that it's something that's needed, you know. Delaying the process doesn't help. We had an audit coming by the end of March, so.
May I make a comment? With the information we received today about not having to go through an RFQ, it's not the CPA. And just like Commissioner Montanez mentioned, if we do something like a cap that would allow us, and if, of course, we get this ESD2 on board as well, it would allow us to move forward a little quicker and get this done. Because we do have an audit, mandatory audit, required audit, that we have to have everything turned in by the end of March, right? So our goal is to try to make sure that everything has been, I want to say, deciphered, and that the numbers are good, so we can close out 21. And also 22 is going to look at as well, right?
Yes, sir.
And look at 22 to make sure that we're working with good numbers moving forward as well.
I think if that's the best route to go, I think we should just look into it and capping it. And
then go ahead and start the services.
yeah, because now we're gonna get an RFQ, it's gonna be more time and work.
It's a process.
Yeah, move it until today. I mean, if you have more or less an idea of who, I mean, what firm or what, you know, what I guess agency is gonna be the one doing it.
I have a list of 6 different agencies to reach out to. I'll see which one has the bookkeeper.
So this would really be to clarify and clear everything up before March 1st, so it wouldn't go through 3 months probably.
It's basically a second pair of eyes, just to make sure that,
Yeah,
you know, what she's deciphering from the previous business manager is, you know, correct.
So I'd like to make a motion or move to approve, is it 10,000?
I mean, that's something that we can talk about, but I mean, if we put 10 and the ESD two agrees and put another 10, that's 20,000 for GPA to look over the documents or double out. You know, anything over that, you know, should be coming back to the board for any kind of other approval, but.
By making a motion, it gives us an opportunity to talk about it though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I would recommend capping at 10.
Great.
I make a motion then to cap the expense for, 10K for, is it CPA services or was it bookkeeping services? I lost.
CPA.
It is CPA services, correct? Yeah, I think it's
I
bookkeeping.
think that's what she
I
said.
think that's what.
Right, Regina? Bookkeeping,
Yes,
bookkeeping services.
it sounded based upon what Kathy said, that it's really more of a bookkeeping service,
Yes, ma'am.
as far as from a checks and balances perspective.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping, so bookkeeping or CPA, would either one was fine with me. So if we can go do the bookkeeping without the RFQ, then I'm good to go ahead and move forward. I mean, as far as after they, I vote for it. So we're going.
Is the bookkeeper or the CPA, referred as professional services?
CPA is professional services.
So it would be a bookkeeper.
No.
Bookkeeper is not.
CPA,
Okay.
because if you go to the bookkeeper, it's not considered a professional service, so we couldn't
Right.
give you the,
Well, that makes sense.
yeah, so it's CPA. And it would be under the professional services that we don't have to go for RFQ.
Is it the opposite of what I said?
Yeah.
That's what I had earlier, it's a professional services, CPA, you don't. Bookkeeping, you know, that's why, you know.
Yeah, I just remember we did an RFQ for the bookkeeper. And, so I just thought everybody just fell into that category.
You did an RFP for the bookkeeper, I believe.
Again, it was almost 2 years ago, so I know we did something with an R and an F in it.
They're close,
Yeah.
P and Q.
So,
I just moved that we approve a budget item of $10K for Tess to complete the, auditing services for the budget.
To be kept at $10,000.
Yes.
We have a motion to authorize Ms. Clark to go ahead and work on getting the CPA or professional services at a cap of $10,000 for ESD 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussions? No further discussions, all in favor say aye. Aye. Next item 4.6, discussion and possible action on petitions for the inclusion into the district.
Commissioners, as you all know, for the past couple of years, we've been working on trying to have Balleray join the DSDs. And this is the first step, which is the petitions. Regina, can you go over the petitions and what you found?
Sure, I can go ahead and do that. So, this has certainly been a topic of discussion, for quite a while. We certainly were aware that the residents in the Balleray area were, putting together petitions, those were received a few months ago. Once they were received, they needed to be reviewed, both by the elections administrator and by someone with knowledge of the real property records in Reeves County. So you have received a copy, you have a copy there in front of you in your packet of the petition that was received by ESD 1. I'll note that ESD 2 also received a petition. Has been certified by me that there are at least 50 qualified voters who own taxable real property within that assigned territory, which is the city limits of Balleray. At that time, you'll note, of course, that there have been other individuals who signed the petition who either couldn't be verified as being registered voters or couldn't be verified as owning real property. But there are in excess of 50 qualified petitioners on this petition. So the next step in the process in order to be able to kind of proceed, now that you all have received the petition, is that the board, would need to set a time and a place to hold a public hearing on the petition. You cannot hold the public hearing, any earlier than 31 days after the day you issue, or after the day you set the hearing. So, what I am recommending is that you set the public hearing, for February the 15th, which is more than 31 days from today. And it also happens to coincide with, Reeves County ESD number 2 regular meeting. They will have to be going through the same process as well. They are meeting to discuss this particular item on Thursday night, so that they can also meet the 31 days to be able to do that. The reason why you can't prolong that any further beyond that is that you must call the election. If you decide to call an election, you must call the election by the 18th of February. So, in order to meet those timelines, this is what you have to do. Once you all set the date and the time, and the place of the public hearing, there will be 3 notices posted, in the district, and then 1 notice posted, in Delray, I would assume probably at City Hall. And we will also have to publish, a notice of the public hearing in the newspaper. I can go ahead and explain to you all what must transpire after or during and after the public hearing, if you'd like for me to. But as far as the current step that you would need to take, I would need a motion to set the public hearing on the annexation petition for whatever date that you decide, and authorizing us to publish and post the required notices.
Regina, I had a couple of questions right quick, if you don't mind. I don't know if this would be, I don't know if you'd be able to answer this or not, but, do you know who verified the signatures on the petition?
That was the elections administrator. They verified the voter registration and the signature portion, they have signatures on file.
The Reeves County election administrator?
Yes.
I was asking because I noticed they didn't have voter IDs on a good portion of them. Was that why they did the second round?
Are you referring to, well, no, she didn't put voter registration numbers on all of them. I'm not entirely sure why she didn't. That was by her hand. I don't think that it's possible she just didn't need to. I don't know if the ones that have the voter registration numbers beside them are because she had to do a little bit of extra looking.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay. I know it's not necessary because if they have their birth date, then you can use the birth date to look at to see if they're a registered voter. But I just noticed that there were just a few that had the numbers on them. So I was just curious if you knew.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure.
On this petition, like, number 41 is missing the date of birth, and I don't see the, voters registration on with
They
that.
were not counted.
It's my understanding that they sent out they went and collected more signatures because some of them didn't qualify, right? There was an amended petition?
It was just an additional petition page, basically is what they did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The 50 is the number required.
Yeah, I I called the city because I was curious, because apparently they didn't make it, they don't have to, I know, but they didn't really make it known that they were gathering signatures. They went door to door and knocked on doors to get the 50, and I was like, why didn't you just get 50? You know, like, she said, well, that's all we have to get. But, so I wasn't sure if they were real clear either. I don't know if did they do a petition before? Do you guys know?
At the beginning? That I'm not sure.
When y'all started, you said you were working on this for,
Well, since I arrived, we've been working with Belmar trying to get it to come on board with this.
okay, but this is the first time that
Yeah, this
it's
is
gone
the
to.
first petition I've seen since I.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, thanks.
Right.
Yeah, I think, Commissioner Roberts, that, they probably took the 50, as a very literal and didn't hear the rest of the part that said it had to be 50 qualified voters who also own real property. So I think that, became more clear, when they first went out and got 50.
So if somebody asks, what we need to do tonight is set a date for the public hearing currently.
Yes. Yes, a date and time, and location. And authorize to publish and post the notices on your behalf.
So what date are you recommending?
I am recommending let me go back to my calendar, the 15th of February. And I presume 5:30 since that's when most of your meetings are held. And I think that this will also allow any members of the public who want to attend both public hearings to be able to do so, you know, with a lot more ease than if you had them on different dates at different times. So.
Will this location be suitable?
Do we want to have it here or in Belmar?
Well, this does also impact, I mean, this will be essentially two elections for both districts being held at once. So the public that is also impacted is the public in ESD 1 as well, that already is in ESD 1, because they will also be voting.
Run that past me one more time.
I think you mean ESD 2?
Regina, can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. So taking ESD 2 out of the equation, ESD 1, if you decide to proceed with the election, after the public hearing, you would effectively be calling two elections. You would be calling an election within the Balmaray city limits, and you would be calling an election within the boundaries of the district, the already existing district. So both of those the propositions on both of those elections would have to pass. So what I was saying was this, you know, where you hold it, anywhere in the county, almost doesn't matter because everyone is a member of the public for the purposes of this election. So.
Thank you.
So Ms. Adams, what exactly are we setting notice and posting?
Of the public hearing on the annexation petition.
I'll make a motion to give notice and post a public hearing on the annexation petition for February the 15th at 5:30 p.m. at the address of 2269 Ocotillo Drive here in Pecos, Texas 79772. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a motion by Commissioner Cortez, second by Commissioner Roberts, to give notice and post. Any further discussion? No further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
thank you. Item 4.7, discussion and possible action on pay estimates or change orders for the district construction project.
Commissioners, this is the 8th pay app, and this is gonna be for the temporary facilities, which the facilities we're in now. It has been, verified, and this particular, pay app is $94,066.63. Again, this is a 50/50, so it'll be half of that 94,000. Again, we're still within budget. We've had some delays due to COVID and supply chain issues, but we're tracking, hopefully, everything will be done by the mid-22, sometime June, July timeframe.
And are we keeping track where we're at as giving out payments and where we're at as far as the balance, and we're still
Yes, we are.
having the future payments we're gonna pay out, and we're still within?
We are, and Luke's also keeping track of these as well, the project manager. So he's looking at these as well to make sure that everything is cohesive the way he thinks it needs to be as well. So there's another set of eyes for me to go back through. Because he's trying to keep up with all the capital expenses as well in his spreadsheet.
I'll make a motion that we authorize payment as presented in the amount of $47,033.17 as part as the ESD number 1 portion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Is there any further discussion? No further discussions, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. 4.8, we already conducted. 4.9 is discussion and possible action on the educational assistance policy survey. Again, this was a policy that we've been discussing as far as the education assistance. I know we had some discussions before, and I had asked maybe asking for a survey, that depend maybe how many employees would be interested in it, and I did receive a draft form of it.
And you're gonna look at what we have so far.
29 responses. 27 yes. Then there's, each one of these have different questions, particular types of degrees they're asking for. Majority of them were fired. This is just a little over half of our employees that have responded to.
But when did we put this out there?
This was last week, plus Thursday, I believe,
Thursday.
Friday.
And so every shift has had an opportunity to select.
No.
No, we're still lacking some.
Can you submit a result when we have a chance?
I also hesitated to push it too much in case you guys wanted to see an additional question, or if there's something more in depth that you wanted to ask. But if this is good, then we'll definitely push that you all complete the survey.
I think at least we have this information and we, digest this information and see where, if there's any follow-up questions to it. But not everybody has the opportunity so far to fill it out, correct? Is that what-
Not everybody has filled it out.
Now, by not filling it out, is just that they're not interested in, or they just haven't had the opportunity to?
They haven't had the opportunity because some of them don't have actual, one of the main concerns of those who don't have access to a laptop or until they get to their show so that they're able to check their email is on the phone and then see this survey.
Other discussions?
And we want to forward all the results to all commissioners.
Please.
We have another participants to not here. That's it.
I'm sorry?
Like the results, that's it for the results, or you're gonna have other participants?
Once we get, the goal is to have everybody, all of the employees fill it out. Once all of them fill it out, we'll share the results.
Can you go ahead and share what?
What we have now?
Yeah, just to have an idea.
And it was in fact sent out on Thursday.
Thursday?
Last Thursday, on the 6th.
Any more questions?
Thank you. 4.10, discussion of possible action on legal correspondence.
I just wanted to get some clarification on, which law firm is doing what, and Regina and I had some correspondence. I sent her an email on the 22nd asking, because the Lexipol SOPs came through and I reviewed all of them and I had some questions about them, and she informed me that she was no longer working on the SOPs, that we had taken her off of those. And so I was not aware of that, or not sure who to call about questions at that point. So I think it's been a reoccurring question to the board and to, what we're supposed to do and how, when are those coming to us? At what point are we going to get them? And I see we have some on this agenda, but we haven't had any released to us since October, November maybe?
Well, and it's because it was getting very confusing, so one of the things I'm proposing today is bringing them to you all like this. We're gonna go over them with you, answer any questions, and then and then not approve until next month. And that way you can have,
Okay.
we can answer those questions for you, and then if you can sit on them for a month, and then that way if you have any other additions or anything, you can get those to us, and then in February, we'll bring the same batch to you all to approve.
Right, and I know we've had this discussion before though, and you've made that recommendation, and then we have to decide as a board what we're going to do. I mean, we take your recommendation and then we need to make an action on it. We need to take action on it as a board. So, because otherwise we're just talking about it again. And then if I don't know who to go to when I have a question. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. And Regina, did you want to chime in here about that specifically? Because from what I understood, you were no longer working on those, correct?
Yes, that's correct, based upon the email that I received in November delineating the items that I was to work on. And it stated that the other firm would be working on policies and procedures.
Well, I didn't see that email, so I don't know.
No, I think that was for in the future, but I think, I believe I had a conversation and whatever Regina was working on, she was gonna continue to work. Mr. Mannix was gonna work on the board policies, but we never changed the SOPs policies she had been working on.
Oh, I thought you wanted them to handle all policies, so that's the way we were moving forward,
No,
not just board policies.
Well, okay, well, then I guess I'm a little bit confused then by the last couple of meetings where there have been SOP related items you all about the other firm should work on.
Yeah, my understanding was that we were not handling the HR like the tools, and that we were handling board operating procedures. So there was a division even amongst policies.
Yeah, that's what we talked about too.
I'm sorry, even amongst procedures.
That is not the way the email that I received was worded, so that was my understanding.
So is there any way to clarify at this meeting who's going to be working on what? Can we make that can we get that out on the table, so to speak?
It's whatever you all want, we just need to know who to reach out to.
I guess, was there not a meeting that, last month where you all were going through SOPs and it was a workshop meeting?
Yes.
Did that not happen?
It did.
That did happen. That was the policy that your firm reviewed for HR.
That's when Mark
Well,
was.
so then
Well, Mark was here representing ESD two.
Yeah, we didn't have
Mark
representation.
was not there representing ESD one.
Yes.
No,
he was here-
ESD two.
He was here representing ESD two.
It was supposed to be a workshop with ESD one and ESD two, and they sent Mark to represent them as a board.
Right, but my point is that if we were the ones that, if my office was the one who was tasked with handling those SOP items, then why wasn't I asked to attend on behalf of ESD one?
Because of my understanding is you were still working on those policies. And my point was, if you don't need to be present, then on something that the board doesn't request attorney or legal services, then you wouldn't be present. But how I looked at it is that you already had looked over these policies. And so any changes that were made, they were already issued out on the last set of those policies. That's why your request.
No one from the other firm was present?
No,
I was not.
The only attorney present at that workshop was Mark Smith, but he was here to represent ESD two, as far as any amendments or changes we're gonna make. But my understanding was that you were still working on them, so if they were pushed out, I took it that you already looked at them.
I've not looked at the thing since I got the email that I received.
What date was that email? Would you mind forwarding that to me, somebody?
I believe I did, right after I responded to your last email. But I can certainly do it again, it was right after the November regular meeting.
Can I ask you, I don't remember the lady's name, but she's with the same firm as, Mr. Maddox. She was here during one of them, she was actually writing one of the HR policies for us.
Yeah, the HR policies.
Yeah.
Not the SOPs. I mean, that's separate, right? I mean,
No,
was it that something?
HR has all these policies, the board policies.
Oh, the board policies, right.
She was writing one of the HR.
Yeah, Shelby Smith was not providing HR policy, that was board policy.
Yeah, it was our board.
I thought it was item 10.
Yeah, I thought it was an HR policy.
It wasn't in my policy.
It was directly electable, she was like.
Yeah, she was taking that right into that.
Yeah.
That was the day I stepped away from the keyboard and she had to go.
Was that on
So
the
there
workshop?
is-
The workshop?
I believe so.
They weren't here.
No, it wasn't a
Said
workshop.
he wasn't here.
It wasn't a workshop, it was a different meeting, but they were discussing.
Yeah, I think so, because that was not our workshop.
Right, it was during the meeting.
Actually, I think it was a meeting after the workshop, because you all brought some things back up that you wanted to change. So it was a meeting after the workshop. But she did jump on there and started typing up the HR policy.
And if I wanted to, she was going to revise it in the office, like we left it as is, and you said we need to adopt something, so give us something to adopt now. And then
We were
she
still
was
waiting for the changes.
for the final
We
edit.
could update it once.
I guess I'm wondering, because I haven't seen anything from our BAP. I haven't seen any emails with any lexical, anything into my inbox until I asked about it on the 22nd. So I'm having to just go to lexical and try to figure out what's been,
So everything that you all, the HR policies that you all approved, those have been released, so you should have seen something in your email that those have been released. So,
from whom?
from, I released them the other, from Lexington.
Should have been an email from Lexington.
So I'm about to forward this email again that I received. You asked for it,
Yeah, I see it now. It's on the
okay,
combined.
right.
So we just have to go to, I'm getting a mixed answer on this, and that's why I wanted to clarify it tonight. I've been told at one point that you guys were gonna be reviewing them, and that we waited until you reviewed them. And then I'm also being told that we should just go to Lexipol and just look at all the ones Lexipol releases. So when does the board get the right ones? When does the board see the ones that they're supposed to be voting on and saying that we approve?
My recommendation is to do it this way, because it has got so confusion that we don't even know who you guys have looked at or not. And that's what I'm saying, is if we do it this way and give you guys, that way gives us an opportunity to go with you, answer any questions today.
What do you mean by this way? By the way we're doing it tonight, or the way we did it
Tonight.
last night?
Tonight. Yeah. And that way we can answer any questions, and then you all sit on them for a month, and if you have any further questions, or you want to make some deletions or additions, or it gives you all a month to ask those questions. And then we can make those additions or deletions and then bring them back to you once again. In fact, now it's gonna take a little longer, But again, it became very difficult for us to keep track of where, you know, you guys are making changes or not changes and that kind of thing. So that's what we're bringing.
We don't have the authorization to make any changes, only y'all do.
No, look, whatever you want changes to make, we're making.
Right, but I mean, we don't have the authorization on our own separately. We have to talk about them as a board before
Yes.
we can make any changes.
Yes.
I can't make a change and send to you, and that was actually suggested to me at one point, that maybe I contact the lawyer about the ones I had concerns about, and then, so it has been very confusing.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to have it in writing as to what we're supposed to do.
It's whenever you guys just tell us what you want.
That's what
I'm just proposing this because
Right,
these are ones that you all asked for. I'm not sure if you were in the meeting or not. You all asked for the policies that are directly related to Texas Commission on Fire Protection, because these are the policies that we need to get approved so we can put into compliance locally. That way, whenever he or she walks in, the inspector will be ready to go and say, these are approved SOPs that fit for the compliance. Now, there's a whole other set of SOPs we want to bring to you.
I'm looking at the ones on Lexipol when they come out. I spend hours looking at these, trying to, you know, do my due diligence and do what I'm supposed to do. So, but we need to be given, I don't think just having them released on Lexipol is enough. I mean, we need to have them like you did here, this is great. But we need to see all of them. I mean, we need to vote on a lot of them, like we did that one time. There was like 40 of them, I think, that you put on your report, right?
It's been a while back. I don't remember how many.
Because that's what I
All I know is
understood initially, that we were gonna get it on your report, and then we hadn't had any on your report since, so.
No, because again, there were some taken and they were made, handwritten ones were made, and then we came back and we're trying to add them. So I just think
Right,
if we do it here, we can have either David or Chief Lee input your information on there as we're talking about it.
like we did that one time.
Like we did that one time. I think that worked much better, because if not, then everybody's gonna have a different version of it. And I wanna make sure that we're hearing everybody and that we're putting that information on there. And then once you all approve it, and you say, yeah, we're happy with that, we approved it,
Right,
then I release them at that point, once you all approve. So, because the other way, it was too confusing to keep up with.
I would still recommend that you have the changes made, so if we do meet like this, you already have the changes and we're not reading the policy for the first time, trying to figure out that we have the changes again. So.
And that way you guys can have the discussion and we'll add it right on there. Because at the end of the day, it's gotta get on here for us to be able to send it out.
If all four of us are taking a section and all four of us are looking at those and bringing those to the board when we have that meeting, I mean, then I think if there's just a couple of them that we have an issue with, it won't be every single one of them, but there may be a couple, you know, that we're not clear on or have questions about.
I think it's more of the HR policies that we might have more as far as.
Right.
But as far as these standard operating procedures for fire and accountability, I mean, that's pretty standard as fire service, so
And
that's why
one of the things I was gonna mention as well is a lot of those, they don't wanna change it too much because they already meet the requirements for the Texas Commission on Fire Protection.
Right.
But we need your also blessing on it so we can actually put them out.
Right, and that's what I was trying to get clarity on, is how that.
So it's how you wanna do it. My recommendation, again, we've been doing it for the past few months of the way, and we're losing track of what's where, what changes were made. I just think, I like the way the workshop did, we put it up, you all told us what you wanted. We put it on there, it's in Lexipol already, and then once you all approve it, we go. Now, these particular SOPs are only ESD one, which are fire related. There's gonna be some that we're gonna also have to bring over to ESD two. So if, for example, if these were for both, you guys could put your changes on there. Next week, they would look at it and see all the changes you made, and if they either agree or disagree. And if they agree, then we can publish them. If not, we would have to bring them back to you all the following month and say, hey, look, here's some changes ESD two made, and this is the reason.
Did you just have time to review these 4.3 policies? Do you have any recommendations?
Not on these.
Then I'm good. Chief?
No, I agree with you.
And just to clarify
two particular policies, that Attorney Shelley Smith was working on was the 1025.3 alcohol policy and the 1018.4.3 resolving grievances. And this took place on the December 14th ESD one regular board.
And those are the HR policies, right? Yeah.
Okay, so the email that policies and procedures, so I'm sorry,
Which is the email that you got? Did she say?
but the three items that were on my list didn't say anything about, couldn't even potentially be construed as continuing to work on SOPs, which in my view, in my experience, fall under policies and procedures. So I will certainly get back to reviewing those again.
I'll just make it clear right now that anything that you have been working on, as you continue to work on, and that's what my conversation was with Chief, anything that you were working on, you continue to work on. And I think there's some other items that have come up and Chief has discussed it, and for example, one was the data water item and this petition, and so, yeah.
And the station.
And the station.
And they're working on this.
Well, yeah, the Madeira, we've already reviewed the Madeira, you all approved that previously.
Yeah.
We're going through this annexation process, which is the other item that was on the list. As far as the station, we have been in discussions with the city about that, so.
So do you want us to go for 4.3 more?
I don't have any questions on it, so I don't know if there's any other discussions or questions on 4.3.
I know we were still talking at 4.10.
Yeah, sound good, thank you. Thank you.
So again, these are strictly fire related, so if you don't have any questions and you feel comfortable approving them, that would be greatly appreciated. That way we could bring you some more SOPs next month, some different ones.
I'll make a motion to approve policies and procedures as presented under 4.3.
Second.
There's been a second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussions on? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Since we skipped some, did we catch everything?
Yeah, I'll do better next time.
Okay. And with that, time is 9:01, we'll go into executive session. If we can start off recordings, we're going under 5.1, matters of personnel, and 5.2 is legal consultation. No, and make sure that recordings are all. So we're good.